If it weren't for Sister Shang, I don't know what would have happened. She looked at her father and half-brother not far away, her tone full of uncontrollable anger. Why is it worth getting angry with them? Seeing this, the head of the Li family and Li Quan knew that the situation was hopeless, and they all knelt on the ground and begged, "Dad, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I will never dare to do it again. Just now my son was blinded by lard and did such a beastly thing. Please forgive my son this time." "Yes, grandfather. Please forgive Dad this time." Li Quan knelt on the ground. His head was broken, for fear that the old man would vent his anger on him. Shang Ruai glanced at the old man, and seeing that there was no ripple in his eyes, she foresaw the ending of this father and son. Crows know to repay their parents, lambs know to kneel down to suckle, but you are so different. The Li family has supported you until now, and now you want to kill me, he said calmly with cold eyes. In this case, you don't have to stay in my Li family. Hearing this, the father and son of the Li family wanted to argue, but saw several servants come forward and drag the two of them away. During this time, someone pulled his arm that was broken by Ah Chung and he wailed in pain. "It's unfortunate for our family. It's unfortunate for our family." The old man sighed, looked at Shang Ruai and said, "I'm sorry to make you laugh, Miss Shang." Shang Ruai smiled and didn't say anything, and then she heard the old man continue, "I didn't expect you to be proficient in medicine. I just know a little bit." The old man heard this and smiled. "Don't be arrogant or impatient. It shows the norms of the family. Your surname is Shang, and you are from Tianshan, but you are the daughter of Prime Minister Shang?" Shang Ruai nodded. "Yes. The legitimate daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion?" It's no wonder that the old man asked this. Shang Ruai's temperament in her gestures is incomparable to that of the legitimate daughters of the royal family. "Otherwise, I am a concubine, the second daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion." "Oh." The old man suddenly sat up straight. "But the second daughter, who married the Prince of Dingwang?" The old man is well informed. Her words acknowledged her identity. The old man of the Li family looked her up and down, and his eyes were full of waves. "That's right, absolutely right. No wonder she looked so familiar to me the first time I saw her." "Child, where is your mother?" he asked in an anxious tone. "My mother." Shang Ruai moved the corners of her lips and whispered, "Dead." For some reason, she felt a little sad when she said these two words. The light in the old man's eyes dimmed, and he leaned against the head of the bed in a decadent manner, sighing deeply. Li Xia rarely saw this expression on her grandfather's face, and asked worriedly, "Grandfather, what's wrong?" The old man did not answer, but looked up at Shang Ruai and closed his eyes slightly. "Child, when did your mother leave?" "Many years ago." Shang Ruai was doubtful. How did he know her mother? "Senior." Before she could ask her doubts, the old man grabbed her hand, his eyes red. "Child, I'm sorry. You have suffered all these years." What happened to you? You should call me Grandpa," the old man said with tears in his eyes. "Back then, your mother was kidnapped by my enemies. She was only a few years old when she was kidnapped. I looked for her for many years, but there was no news. Later, Bailing and Tianshan started trading, and I learned that your mother was taken to Tianshan. When I learned about her, she had already married into the Shang family and became Shang Yan's concubine. I asked someone to inquire about it, but that was the Prime Minister's mansion after all, and the information I could get was very limited. I only knew that Shang Yan married the daughter of a wealthy businessman who was very favored and had a daughter who was the second daughter of the Prime Minister's mansion. I knew that she was living a good life, and the family that adopted her was also wealthy, so I was relieved. Shang Ruai frowned when she heard him say this. "Since you know that she is your biological daughter, why don't you recognize her?" "How can we recognize each other? She was so young when she was taken away that she would not remember anything about her childhood. Besides, I am from Bailing and your father is the Prime Minister. She is so favored. If your father knew her life experience, he might have some concerns. Now that I know that she has a good life and has not suffered any hardship since she was a child, I feel relieved." The old man looked at her. "From the first time I saw you, I felt familiar with you. I didn't expect that you are my granddaughter." Li Xia looked at Shang Ruoyi and then at her grandfather and murmured, "That means Sister Shang and I are really sisters?" Shang Ruoyi smiled. "You said you are my grandfather. Do you have any evidence?" Haha, the little girl is really cautious. The old man took out a box from the bedside, which contained half a jade disc. "Have you ever seen your mother with this thing in her hand?" Shang Ruoyi shook her head. "Never seen it." A trace of loneliness flashed in the old man's eyes. It must have been lost on the way. "This jade disc was originally a gift from your mother on her first birthday." At this moment, some vague fragments flashed through Shang Ruoyi's mind and she whispered, "Do you know what birthmarks my mother has?" "Birthmark?" He shook his head. "Your mother has no birthmarks, but there is an inch-long scar in the crook of her right arm. It was the mark left by falling off the rockery when she was a child. I wonder if the scar has faded after she grew up." Yes. There is indeed a scar on her mother's arm, and Shang Nian has said more than once that his mother is very unlucky. As long as she can live well, it doesn't matter if she doesn't recognize me. Live well? Shang Ruoyi sneered. How can she live well?
She.
The old man choked up. Why didn't she live well? If she lived well, would she have died early? Shang Ruoyi sneered. After her mother's family fell into decline, Shang Nian knew that she was no longer useful, so he was annoyed even at the sight of her, and drove her to the most remote courtyard in the backyard, where she lived a life worse than that of a servant. Not many years later, she died of depression. Shang Ruoyi looked at the old man, recalling the eyebrows and eyes that were somewhat similar to his in her memory, and finally did not say anything more unpleasant. The old man looked at her, his chest heaving violently with anger. Shang Nian. His low voice contained deep anger. He actually, cough, cough, cough. He couldn't stop coughing. Li Xia stepped forward and rubbed his back. Grandfather, please don't get angry. The old man looked at Shang Ruoyi, his eyes red. You have suffered so much over the years. Shang Ruoyi did not step forward, but just looked at him steadily. Since he came here, she has never thought about having a family relationship with anyone. This sudden blood relationship made her a little uncomfortable. The old man saw that she was a little restrained and knew what she was thinking. You came to buy Dongju oysters today, did you get any? He changed the subject. Manager Lin chose some good ones. Shang Ruoyi finished speaking, and Li Xia interrupted her. Sister Shang, don't speak for that old man. Li Xia told the old man all the little actions of Manager Lin today. Humph, it must be the work of your father and your useless brother. Since he had frequent attacks of impatience, he handed over most of the Li family's industry to his unpromising son. Unexpectedly, it ended up like this. Ah Cheng and Xiaoyao stood guard at the door and looked at each other. They didn't expect that the Crown Princess Bailing and her party had discovered the secret of their life experience. Although the Li family is not a prosperous family, it is an imperial merchant after all. It is much better to have the support of the mother's family than to have no one. At this moment, a gray bird landed on Ah Cheng's shoulder. He took the note from the gray bird's feet and frowned tightly. Mississippi. Ah Cheng whispered. Miss, we may have to return to the mansion quickly. He handed the note over. Shang Ruoyi read 10 lines at a glance and was shocked. The letter actually wrote clearly about Hiyuan's whereabouts. Who is it? At this time, the officials of the court were halfway there. If they rode fast, they would arrive in Qingzhou in 3 or 4 days. If they confirmed that Hiyuan was still alive, it would be extremely disadvantageous to them. After all, Emperor Tianshun said that as long as Hiyuan was found, he would be killed without mercy. Now they have only sent a few officials, and I am afraid they will be the first to take the lead. As long as they confirm that Hiyuan is still alive, they will punish all the people in the He family for the crime of harboring a criminal. It seems that Emperor Tianshun has recovered. She turned to the old man and said, You have a good rest. I have to go back to the He family first. When the matter is resolved, I will definitely come back to have a good talk with you. Hearing this, the old man nodded and looked at Shang Ruoyi with burning eyes, expecting to hear the word grandfather from her mouth, but until she left, the old man failed to do so. Li Xia saw this and comforted him softly. Grandfather, Sister Shang is not unreasonable. It's just that it's a little hard for her to accept it. Oh, I know. I'm a little delusional. He sighed. I guess she blames me a little. If I had known her mother, maybe her mother wouldn't have died. She only talked about her mother's suffering. For so many years, in the Prime Minister's mansion, she must have lived 10 times or 100 times more miserable than her mother. He coughed a few times, and his lips turned slightly white. It's my fault. Shang Ruai didn't blame him. After all, the original Shang Ruai was dead. Strictly speaking, they were blood relatives, but not blood relatives. Miss, if we take these carriages, it will be too late. Ah Cheng said in a low voice. They can take their time, there's no rush, let's go first. Shang Ruai looked at Xiaoyao. Can you ride a horse? Xiaoyao shook her head. How could she, a servant, ride a horse? That's perfect. A smile flashed across Shang Ruai's eyes. Just let Ah Cheng take you. What? Xiaoyao's face flushed. What does this look like? What else can I do? Shang Ruai said with a smile. Do you want me to take you? Let me be frank with you. If you fall off the horse, I will not be responsible. Xiaoyao glanced at Ah Cheng, only to see that there was no expression on his face. Her expectations slowly fell through, and the blush on her face gradually faded. She did not see that Ah Cheng's hands behind his back were tightly clenched in fists because of nervousness. Shang Ruai saw what Ah Cheng was thinking, smiled, and said, Ah Cheng, are you willing to take Xiaoyao with you? Ah Cheng nodded, thought for a moment. Will this ruin Miss Xiaoyao's reputation? If we don't hurry up, your master's father will probably be captured and beheaded by the emperor's men. She jumped on the horse, tightened the reins, looked at the two awkward people and smiled. Have you thought about it? Ah Cheng sat on the horse, stretched out his hand to take Xiaoyao up, and said softly, Sit tight. Shang Ruai raised the whip, and the horse rushed out like an arrow. Ah Cheng and the others followed closely behind. After 2 days of long journey, they finally arrived outside the manor on the second night. Contrary to the news received, the people from the capital had already arrived at the manor and had wrapped it tightly. Listen, everyone inside. We are here to search under orders. Open the door immediately. Otherwise, we will kill you without mercy. After a period of recuperation, Prince Ding of Ding, He-Yuan, had basically recovered. He was about to go to bed when he heard shouting from outside. What's going on? He pushed the door open and asked in a deep voice. Prince, it's bad. Our manor has been surrounded by soldiers. He-Yuan frowned. They must have been exposed. Your Highness, please go through the secret passage and hide in the manor next door. As soon as the secret guard finished speaking, he heard the secret guard next to him say, No, the manor next door has also been surrounded. At this moment, the shouts of officers and soldiers came from outside. If you don't open the door, we will force it. It's too late. You protect your Highness and go first, and a few of us will stay behind to cover you. At this moment, a voice came. Maybe I have a better way. Everyone looked at the source of the sound and saw a masked man walking out slowly from the darkness. When the secret guard saw the mask, they knew it was Master Ling Jun and said respectfully, Divine Doctor, you are here. Shang Ruai stepped forward. Everyone should do their own thing. Don't worry. He-Yuan looked at her. Are you the Divine Doctor who saved this king? Greetings, Your Highness, I am Ling Jun. You just need to have a good rest in your room. Shang Ruai bowed. Let me take your pulse. Outside. Don't pay attention to it. He-Yuan was lying on the bed. Shang Ruai's fingers fell on his wrist. He-Yuan looked at her hand and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. I didn't expect that the miracle doctor was actually a girl. Shang Ruai smiled, and a very thin silver needle appeared at the tip of her finger. He-Yuan felt his skin being pricked, and before he could react, he fainted. Shang Ruai put away the silver needle, waved her arm, and He-Yuan's body disappeared on the bed. She walked out of the room and said to the secret guards waiting outside the door, Open the door of the mansion. But the prince. Prince? Where is the prince? Shang Ruai stepped forward and said in a deep voice, Remember, there has never been any prince in this mansion. This is just the mansion of Master Lingjun. Understand?
Yes.
At this moment, a huge noise came from outside the door, and the gate of the mansion was knocked open by the officers and soldiers, and the bolt was directly broken into 2 pieces. The officers and soldiers each held a big knife, and then several men came in, followed by Lord Zhang, whom Shang Ruoyi knew, who was following them closely. Humph! Where are the people in Zhuangzi? Are they all dead? How dare you disobey the order? The leading officials said angrily. I will punish you. Compared with Situ Wen's rage, Zhou Xiang next to him said nothing, just looked around with a gloomy look. He had lived in the Dinghua Palace for a period of time and was very familiar with the terrain there. He looked at everything here and felt inexplicably familiar. They had just taken a few steps when they heard a sound of breaking through the air. Swoosh! Before everyone could react, they saw an arrow falling directly in front of them. My lord, be careful. The officers and soldiers stood in front of Situ Wen and Zhou Xiang, looking around vigilantly.
How dare you?
How dare you shoot and kill an official appointed by the court? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Shang Ruoyi walking forward with a bow and arrow in her hand. Her eyes under the mask were unusually cold. You, who are you? Shang Ruoyi sneered. I should be the one asking you this. She pulled the robe on her body closer and said angrily, Why are you knocking on the door and shouting outside someone else's house in the middle of the night? What's so important that it can't wait until tomorrow morning? You won't live to see tomorrow morning? Upon hearing this, Situ Wen strode forward, pointed at Shang Ruoyi and shouted, Bold and unruly citizen. How dare you speak rudely? Oh, who do you think you are? Shang Ruoyi looked at him and sneered. A useless person who is strong on the outside but weak on the inside actually has the nerve to yell here. Not knowing which words stimulated him, Situ Wen said to the servants around him, Catch him. Catch him quickly. You dare. Shang Ruoyi stepped forward. Why are you arresting me? Have I done anything against etiquette? Shang Ruoyi sneered. If you arrest people without any reason, I'm afraid you won't be able to bear the consequences. Situ Wen was a typical hot-tempered person. Just as he was about to get angry, Zhou Xiang beside him said, We are here on the orders of the court to arrest the fugitive. Your yard is a key place that needs to be checked. He looked at Shang Ruoyi's mask and felt somewhat familiar. Suddenly, a figure flashed through his mind. You are. Before he could finish, Situ Wen said, What is there to say to a lowly person? Don't delay the business. They came here on the order of the emperor. If they can't find Hiyuan, they will be the ones to lose their heads. He waved his hand. Search. As he moved, dozens of officers and soldiers poured out from both sides. Shang Ruoyi's eyes turned cold, and she threw the stone in her hand mixed with internal force at them. How dare you, a mere official, search my courtyard? You must be tired of living. The man in front of him looked exactly like the one in his memory. Zhou Xiang stepped forward quickly and bowed, saying, Excuse me, are you the divine Dr. Lingjun? What? Divine Doctor? Why does this name sound so familiar? Situ Wen frowned slightly. Are you the miracle doctor who treated His Majesty and the Empress before? Yes. Shang Ruoyi said in a cold voice. You broke into my mansion without permission. When I see the Emperor and the Empress tomorrow, I will ask you to decide who is right and who is wrong. Situ Wen had been fighting outside for many years and was a rough man. Hearing her say this, he was not afraid, but became more powerful. Do you think I'm afraid if you bring up His Majesty and the Empress? Let me tell you, I'm here to search your place under the order of His Majesty. Today, whether you agree or not, I will thoroughly check your mansion. Seeing him like this, Zhou Xiang wisely said nothing. Situ Wen was right. The emperor did ask them to look for Hiyuan's whereabouts, and the news they got was also near this manor, but there was no evidence pointing to this manor. Now that Situ Wen wants to be the first to take action, why don't I just watch the show from the side? If they really find Hiyuan, it will be a great achievement. If they don't find him, they will offend the divine Dr. Lingjun today, and he can get rid of it when he is reported to His Majesty in the future. Since you want to investigate my mansion, there must be a reason. Shang Ruai said in a low voice with a cold light in her eyes. I suspect that you are shielding a wanted criminal of the imperial court, the former Prince Dingwa, Hiyuan. Situan said sternly, those who shield wanted criminals shall be punished with the same crime.
Come.
Arrest her for me.
Wait.
Shang Ruai said angrily, my lord. Is your brain filled with mercury? Now that Prince Dingwa has not been caught yet, you want to punish me. Do you remember the law well? Do you think you have the final say in the military camp? Shang Ruai glanced at him, her face full of sneer. It's unnecessary to do this in my mansion. You. Situan was furious. He waved his hand and pulled out the sword from his waist. Tie her up. Tie her up. Let's see who dares. Shang Ruai moved her fingertips slightly, and a handful of silver needles shot out suddenly, each of which hit the officers and soldiers, just an inch in front of their feet. Half of the silver needles were completely immersed in the blue bricks under their feet, which showed how powerful they were. Seeing this, everyone gasped. This strength was too strong. General Situ, who do you think you are here? Shang Ruai took a step forward. Although she was not wearing any weapons, she was still frightening. You said you were ordered to search. I will not stop you, but you want to arrest people here at will. Shang Ruai sneered. I see that your forehead is black, as if you are in danger of bloodshed. Situan couldn't stop breathing heavily. At this time, Zhou Xiang stepped forward, smiled, and said, Don't be surprised, Divine Dr. Ling Jun. General Situ has been fighting on the battlefield for many years, so it is inevitable that he is angry. Please forgive me, Divine Doctor. Can you act like this on the battlefield? It's really ridiculous. At this time, the guards behind her brought a chair with a look of courtesy. On the chair was a complete tiger skin, which looked extremely precious. Go ahead if you want to search, but let us be frank. The things in my house, especially the pills, are very precious. If they are damaged or broken, you should think carefully about how to compensate for them. Shang Ruai finished speaking. Zhou Xiang smiled and said, Yes, we will be extremely careful. She waved her hand, and the officers and soldiers went to search the backyard. Situan stared at her. Shang Ruai was sitting on the armchair, and the guard next to her brought her a cup of hot tea. How could she look like a guilty thief? She was clearly confident. After a while, an officer and soldier stepped forward. Sir, a secret door was found in the rockery in the backyard. Situan looked at Shang Ruai with a little excitement. She was wearing a mask at this time, and her expression could not be seen clearly, but from her leisurely state, she did not feel nervous at all. Master Ling Jun, can you explain this secret door? Situan looked like a smug man. Without waiting for him to finish, Shang Ruai handed the teacup to the guard next to her and sneered. Why, the farm next door is also mine. Can I install a secret door between the two farms? She stood up and gathered her cloak. Isn't it allowed to buy a house even though I have money? Why would you buy such a big house by yourself? Situan said coldly. Your question is really ridiculous. What is the house used for? Of course it is used for sleeping. Could it be used to raise pigs? She sneered. Why, General Situ's mansion has only a few rooms? Or is there only one bed? Anyway, in the general's mind, a house is fine as long as it is habitable. Shang Ruai's words made Wen's face turn purple. Let you be proud for a while. I will go to the manor next door to take a look. If I find anything, don't blame me for being ruthless. He waved his hand and followed the officers and soldiers to the secret door, walked through the secret passage, and came to the courtyard next door. He saw that the courtyard was bigger than the one next to it, but after searching around, there was not even a cat in it except for a few guards. This made Wen's face more gloomy. How is this possible? Zhou Xiang was also a little surprised. What was going on? The intelligence they received clearly showed that Hiyuan appeared near these two manors. Where would such a big living person hide? They never thought that Shang Ruai would have such a magical space. How is it? Did the two adults gain anything? Shang Ruai stepped forward and said coldly, Tell me, where did you hide Hiyuan? Situan rushed forward and was about to grab her collar. The secret guards behind him were about to attack when Zhang Ruai suddenly swung out a palm, hitting Situ Wen's palm.
Ah!
With a scream, He Yuan's entire arm was pushed back, and the bone at the shoulder seemed to bulge out. TSK, 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 this arm is useless. People who practice martial arts know that this kind of damage is irreversible. Even if the medical saint is alive and the broken bones are connected, it is difficult to make up for the damage to the arm. For a general like Situ Wen, a useless arm means that he can never go to the battlefield again. No one expected that she had such a deep internal force. You? How dare you attack me? Situ Wen's head was covered with sweat, and he was furious. He said in an angry voice, he committed treason and seriously injured an official appointed by the court. He should be put to death. Zhang Ruai rubbed her wrist and sneered. Treason? Who do you think you are? How dare you put on airs in front of me? The severe pain in Situ Wen's shoulder almost made him faint. Seeing this, Zhou Xiang knew that the matter of He Yuan would not have any result today. He stepped forward and said with a smile, Misunderstanding, it's all misunderstanding. Don't blame us, doctor. We are rude, and we apologize to you here. If this mansion belonged to ordinary people or merchants, even if they caught the wrong person, they would have to admit their defeat. After all, the people should not fight against the officials. How could the people who went against the government have a good end? But how could this Lingjun genius doctor be compared to ordinary people? Even His Majesty praised her medical skills. If she hadn't saved her last time, the queen wouldn't have lived to this day. Because of this, he naturally had to be respectful to Zhang Ruai. Zhang Ruai glanced at him. She knew what he was thinking. Since Lord Zhou said so, I will give you this face. After hearing her say this, Zhou Xiang's hanging heart slowly settled down, but before the smile on his face could expand, he heard Zhang Ruai continue, But how are you two going to compensate for the loss of my mansion? At this time, Situ Wen no longer cared about what she said, as he was already in a semi-comatose state. Zhou Xiang's smile froze, knowing that he might lose money today. I don't know what the genius doctor means. Lord Zhou, don't worry, I'm not the kind of unreasonable person. You only need to compensate for the loss of my gate and the loss of disturbing my peace tonight. Okay, I wonder how much silver the genius doctor wants? Zhang Ruai thought for a while. This door is not expensive. How much silver did it cost to repair it? She looked at the guard beside her, and the guard understood, and hurriedly said, My lord, that door only cost 30,000 taels of silver. 30,000 taels? Zhou Xiang couldn't help but gasp. What kind of door costs 30,000 taels? Even the main gate of the palace didn't cost 30,000 taels. Zhang Ruai smiled. You don't know. This door is coated with a very special medicine paste, which will prevent it from being eaten by insects for 100 years. This medicine paste is extremely precious and cannot be bought with any amount of silver, so it is worth 30,000 taels. Zhou Xiang knew that she was asking for too much and was blackmailing him. He lost 30,000 taels of silver in vain, not only offended people but also failed to catch the criminal. This time he really lost both the wife and the army. As for my loss, I won't ask you for money, but I heard that there is a red coral in Lord Zhou's house. It is said that red coral is very sleep-inducing. Today, I am shamelessly asking Lord Zhou for it. I wonder if you can give me this face? Red coral is very valuable. She remembered that on the day of her wedding, Zhou Xiang gave her a coral as a gift. At that time, she heard someone say that Zhou Xiang loved collecting. There was a blood-red coral in his study, which was very beautiful, but he rarely displayed it. Recently, she was developing a pill, and she just needed red coral as medicine. If Zhou Xiang knew that she wanted to use such a precious thing as medicine, he would be angry to death. He smiled bitterly and nodded. Since the genius doctor likes it, I will definitely send someone to deliver the coral when I return. Zhang Ruai nodded. In that case, I thank you in advance. Zhou Xiang looked at Situ Jing beside him, only to see that his lips were purple and a trace of blood slowly flowed from his lips. This is poisoning? He exclaimed. General Situ, wake up. Zhang Ruai frowned slightly. She didn't poison him when they slapped each other, so the poison must have been hidden in his body long ago. Divine Doctor, can you treat General Situ? Zhou Xiang said with a bow. Why should I save someone who originally wanted to kill me? Shang Ruai sneered. Carry him out. Don't let him die in my yard. It's very unlucky. How can this be done? If he leaves now, Situ Wen may not be able to hold on for long. Divine Doctor, there is a night shining pearl in General Situ's mansion. If you can help him detoxify, I will definitely persuade him to offer the night shining pearl with both hands. Night shining pearl? Shang Ruai curled her lips. Is it very precious? She has more than 5 in her space. Zhou Xiang's face froze. General Situ had been showing off in front of them all day that he had a night shining pearl, but now he was despised by others. Forget it. It's a life after all. I will help him with reluctance, and when he recovers, get out of my yard. As soon as she finished speaking, she continued before Zhou Xiang nodded. And the night shining pearl. Lord Zhou, please remind him to send it to me. Yes, yes, rest assured, Doctor. Shang Ruai came to Situ Wen and felt his pulse, and couldn't help frowning slightly. Heart-eating grass. It was the poison of heart-eating grass. This poison is colorless and tasteless, but it is an extremely deadly chronic poison. There is nothing unusual when taking it at first, but after taking it for a long time, you will have a bad temper and great fluctuations in your heart. It only takes one opportunity for the whole heart to explode in the body. How deep is the hatred to give him this poison? In fact, when Situ Wen was shouting at her like a madman just now, Shang Ruai suspected that he was poisoned. Now it seems that her guess is indeed correct. She took out a white porcelain bottle and poured the spiritual spring water into his mouth. The unique purification effect of the spiritual spring water can remove the toxins of the heart-eroding grass. Zhou Xiang took out a silver needle, and when he saw such a thick silver needle, his whole body was shocked. This. If it is pierced into the body, it will be a blood hole. Is this curing the disease or killing it? Divine Doctor. Before he finished speaking, he heard her coldly say, Shut up, don't disturb me when I am treating the disease. Zhou Xiang hurriedly shut his mouth. Shang Ruai inserted 5 needles near his heart, and a pool of black blood came out with each needle. After a long while, the black blood gradually turned into bright red, and the expression on Shang Ruai's face was slightly relaxed. After pulling out the last needle, Situ Wen, who had been in a coma, woke up slowly. Seeing this, Shang Ruai smiled and said, Night Pearl, don't forget it. Night Pearl? What Night Pearl? If it was something else, Situ Wen might not be so sensitive, but the Night Pearl was his most precious thing, so he naturally valued it very much. Zhou Xiang had no choice but to tell him what had just happened. He was somewhat grateful when he heard that Shang Ruai had helped him detoxify, but when he heard that he had to exchange it with a Night Pearl, he stood up suddenly. What? Night Pearl? Do and even think about it. That's my treasure. He thought, since his poison had been cured anyway, even if he refused to pay now, what could she do? Shang Ruai heard this and sneered. I gave you a chance, but you are useless, so don't blame me. She moved her thin lips slightly and said slowly, 3, 2, 1. Just when everyone was confused, Situ Wen suddenly screamed, and the hand that was not broken covered his heart, and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. People die for money and birds die for food. Since you are reluctant to give up money, then you can just keep your life. Her eyes were full of disdain, and the look she gave him was like looking at a dead person, without any warmth. Situ Wen felt the passing of his life and, finally, began to panic. I am willing to use the Night Pearl as a reward and ask the miracle doctor to save my life. Situ Wen knelt on the ground and begged, please. I never give people a second chance. Shang Ruai glanced at him and said to Zhou Xiang, who had been standing there in a daze, Sir Zhou, it's late at night. I won't keep you here any longer. After she finished speaking, she ignored the shouting behind her and turned to leave. Zhou Xiang had no choice but to say to the officers and soldiers around him, Why are you still standing there? Why don't you take General Situ away quickly? Shang Ruai returned to the yard, and the secret guards who followed her couldn't help but ask curiously, Master Lingjun, where's the prince? When the officers and soldiers searched just now, they had searched every room, but there was no trace of the prince at all. Speak softly, the prince is still resting. Don't disturb him. Shang Ruai opened the door and whispered, stand by the door.
Yes.
Shang Ruai closed the door and confirmed that there was no one around. She waved her hand, and the sleeping Hyun reappeared on the bed. Just as she was about to leave, she heard the voice of the secret guard at the door. Prince. Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows slightly. Why did he come back? Is the prince's wife in the room? The man outside the door had a low and hoarse voice, as if he had caught a cold. Prince, where is there any prince's wife here? The one who just came in was young Master Lingjun.
Yes.
Shang Ruai frowned and put Hyun on the bed back into the space. She had just put on the mask when the door was pushed open. He Jingheng walked in and took off his cloak. You're here. He Jingheng cast his eyes on the bed, frowning slightly. Where's my father? Father? Shang Ruai said in a low voice. My prince, are you confused? How can your father be here? She held a few silver needles in her hand, and her eyes under the mask were full of vigilance. My prince, why did you come to my room in the middle of the night? He Jingheng's expression froze, and he coughed a few times and said, I just came to see you. My prince, have you found the herbs I asked you to bring for me before I went out this time? Shang Ruai stretched out her left hand. You can't go back on your word. He Jingheng's eyes fell on her hand, and after a while, he whispered, I came back in a hurry and didn't have time to look for it. Next time I go out, I will not forget it. Hearing this, Shang Ruai closed her palms, put her hands behind her back, and a pistol appeared in her palms. The next moment, she raised her pistol, pointing the muzzle at his brow. Shang Ruai's eyes were stern. You are not He Jingheng. What are you talking about? He Jingheng said with a smile. I just didn't bring you any herbs. Are you so angry? Before He Jingheng left, I didn't ask him to bring anything. That day was so absurd. How could she have the mood to ask him to bring her anything? I didn't expect you to see through it. The man sneered. But so what? In this manner, those guards seemed to only listen to their prince. He shouted, Come here. As soon as the voice fell, several secret guards rushed in directly. Prince. Catch her for me. Catch her? Isn't Master Lingjun a distinguished guest of the prince? What are you waiting for? The man said angrily, You guys don't want to listen to what I say? Just as the secret guards were about to draw their swords, a deep voice came from outside the door. Who dares? A man in a black robe walked in, followed by Yunqi and other secret guards. Prince. The secret guards who were about to attack Shang Ruai exclaimed. How could there be two princes? Shang Ruai raised her pistol and looked at the man pretending to be He Jingheng with cold eyes. Are you still pretending? Now that the real master is here, why don't you surrender?
Ha ha ha.
He laughed and looked at He Jingheng. I didn't expect you to come back today. What a coincidence. He pulled up a cold smile at the corner of his mouth, and there was no warmth in his eyes. You are lucky today, but your good days are about to end. As soon as he finished speaking, several black beads appeared in his hand. He threw them the ground. A burst of fire flashed, and a lot of smoke came out. Fire smoke bomb. Shang Ruai's mind flashed, and a pair of goggles appeared on her eyes. Everything in the smoke was in sight. The man in black robe was about to escape in the smoke. Shang Ruai raised her pistol and pulled the trigger. The bullet went straight into the man's arm. A muffled groan reached Shang Ruai's ears. The voice was surprisingly familiar. Shang Ruai's heart was slightly shaken. It was during this gap that the man used Qinggong to take the opportunity to leave. She put away her goggles. He Jingheng happened to come to her side and asked nervously, Are you injured? Shang Ruai shook her head. No. What about you? Nothing. This fire mist bomb just looks a bit scary, but it actually has no lethality. He Jingheng looked her up and down and only felt relieved after confirming that she was not injured. Prince, I am incompetent and let the thief escape. Yunqi knelt on one knee on the ground. Please punish me, Prince. The monk may escape, but the temple cannot. What are you worried about? He Jingheng snorted coldly. Among the 4 countries, only one force uses this kind of fire mist bomb. You mean Chiuvilla?
Chiuvilla?
Shang Ruai frowned slightly. It was Chiuvilla again. The woman who was dealt with earlier was from Chiuvilla. Do you have any grudges with Chiuvilla? Shang Ruai asked softly. You also know Chiuvilla? Shang Ruai recounted what happened in the mansion before. He Jingheng's expression was slightly cold. That woman said that the Dinghua Palace wiped out their entire family? Yunqi was a little confused. From the prince to the soldiers, they only fought on the battlefield and never participated in destroying the family. The only ones who could do such a thing were the forces of the underworld or the minions of the royal family. The emperor had a team specifically responsible for assassination called the Golden Feather Guard. The team was full of masters and only obeyed the emperor's orders. If the emperor said that a certain family was an eyesore, they would sneak in and secretly execute the people of that family. Could it be them? Since these 2 people are from Chiuvilla, I want to see where the Dinghua Palace offended them. He looked at Shang Ruai and smiled, but the most important thing right now is another thing. Where is my father? Shang Ruai was stunned. Just as she was thinking about what to say, she saw a secret guard running in. Prince, it's bad. The granary is on fire.
What?
He Jingheng didn't care about anything else and turned around to walk out. Shang Ruai saw everyone leaving and gently waved her right hand, and He Yuan's figure appeared on the bed. She took out a silver needle and gently pierced his arm. The next moment he slowly opened his eyes. Divine Doctor. He slowly exhaled, feeling refreshed. After a few hours in the space, breathing the rich spiritual energy in the space, he naturally felt physically and mentally comfortable. Did the prince fall asleep just now? Shang Ruai put away the silver needle and smiled. Your Highness is sleeping very soundly. It seems that the prince is really old.
He can fall asleep at this time.
He smiled heartily. The miracle doctor seems to be young. I didn't expect that his medical skills are so profound. He can even cure injuries like mine. Master taught me well. Shang Ruai stood up and nodded slightly. Your Highness, you should have a good rest. You are in good health now. In more than a month, all the hidden injuries in your body will be healed. Thank you, miracle doctor. He Yuan looked at her with satisfaction and suddenly asked, Is the young lady married? Shang Ruai nodded. I am already married. He Yuan sighed with some regret. When He Jingheng got married, he was far away in the border. Until now, he had never seen his daughter-in-law. He only knew that she was the illegitimate daughter of the old fox Shangnian. Whenever he thought of this, he felt like a lump in his throat. Not to mention the concubine's daughter, he didn't even look at Shangnian's legitimate daughter. The concubine's daughter was even more unbearable. He Yuan sighed. A woman with such excellent medical skills must be a great help. How good would it be if she hadn't married yet? Although the Dinghua Palace no longer exists, its power is still second to none compared to other families. A woman will definitely not suffer if she marries into their Dinghua Palace. But now that she has been betrothed, He Yuan naturally won't have any other thoughts. After a while, he couldn't help but ask, Miss, since you are invited by my disappointing son, how do you think my son compares to your husband? Shang Ruai couldn't help but wonder, is this the custom of the people in Tianshan? Why are they so willing to be matchmakers? At this moment, He Jingheng walked in and saw He Yuan sitting on the bed. He raised his eyebrows slightly, but didn't ask much.
Dad.
He Jingheng stepped forward. How do you feel? You little brat, you actually asked me a question. He Yuan glared at him, and the more he looked at his son, the angrier he got. I'm still alive. Shang Ruai found this scene very funny. She didn't expect that the Prince of Ding, who was known for his calmness and seriousness, would also have this side in front of his son. Sir, the prince's body is fine. He will be back to normal in less than a month, and his internal energy can be used freely. Shang Ruai picked up the medicine box and said softly, I have something to do, so I'll leave first. Looking at her back that was somewhat running away, his eyebrows were slightly raised. Before he could think more, a big hand slapped his back heavily. He was ambushed on his way to the western regions this time and had many wounds on his body. Thanks to her pills, Otherwise, he would not be able to get out of bed and walk now, let alone rush back at this time. Now that his father slapped him, the wound that had finally scabbed was afraid to break again. You stinky boy, you can't even handle a woman. You've really brought shame to the Dingwa Palace, and to your father and me. He Jingheng sneered when he heard this. My son only found out today that the reputation of the Dingwa Palace is maintained by things like this. A sarcastic smile appeared at the corner of his lips. In this regard, my son is naturally far from being able to compare with my father. You. Hiyuan swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. The ancestral precepts of the Dingwa Palace did not allow concubines, but he not only took a concubine, but also had a son with the concubine. My son only wants Rui in his life.
Rui?
Shang Rui? The idiot in Shangyan's house? He had been to Shangyan's house a few years ago and saw her by chance. She was pale and thin and her body was dry. At first, he thought she was a maid in some courtyard. Later, he found out that she was the second daughter of the family. How could she look like a lady? Shut up. Yuan said angrily. When the time is right, divorce immediately. Jingheng just thought it was funny, and then he heard Yuan say, You know how dangerous what you're going to do is. He said in a low voice, You must find someone who can help you, not hold you back. Jingheng heard the words and nodded. It was rare that he did not refute. Yuan was actually a little surprised. In the past, even in the military camp, the two would argue endlessly because of the way of fighting. Now they are so humble. Just when he thought his idea was adopted, he heard Jingheng say slowly, Since father despises her so much, father's health will be handed over to others in the future. Yuan was slightly stunned. What does it mean to hand it over to others?
Could it be that?
He pointed at the door and found his voice after a long while. You mean the girl who just treated me as Shang Ruoi, the concubine of that old man Shangyan? Jingheng nodded.
Oh.
Yuan sighed, thinking back to what he had just asked Shang Ruoi, his old face flushed. Disrespectful to the elderly, disrespectful to the elderly. Coming out of Yuan's room, Jingheng went straight to Shang Ruoi's room. At this time, she was full of worry, afraid that Jingheng would ask her how she hid Yuan. At this moment, the door of the room was pushed open, and she quickly turned over and pretended to sleep. Jingheng heard her uneven breathing, and the corners of his lips curled up slightly. He sat on the bed, looked at her steadily, and said with a smile, Although my father is a prince, he has been fighting on the battlefield for many years and has a rough personality. If he says something nonsense, you need to bear with him. After a while, the furry little head with its back to him nodded slightly. Jingheng was shaken by her movements and felt like a kitten's claws grew on his chest, scratching his heart from time to time. After a long time, there was no sound behind him. Shang Ruai quietly opened her eyes, looked back, and happened to fall into Jingheng's loving eyes. You didn't leave? Jingheng couldn't help laughing when he heard that. My wife is here. Where do you want me to go? It's late. Yes, it's late. It's time to go to bed. After saying that, Jingheng lifted the quilt and lay down. Shang Ruai's body suddenly stiffened. She grabbed the quilt and kicked it hard. The next moment, her feet were held in the palm of a pair of warm hands. Why is it so cold? Is it because the floor heating is not warm enough? He frowned slightly, and the words he just said seemed to come from the heart, but only he knew that the hand holding her feet was so stiff that it was difficult to move. Just when his heart was rippling, a sudden force kicked him off the bed. Yunqi was startled when he heard the sound outside the door. The prince's wife was indeed a god. She dared to kick the prince off the bed. If this were to be spread out, I'm afraid no one would believe it. Shang Ruai's cheeks flushed, and she bit her lips tightly with her teeth. Lecher. Jingheng stood up from the ground with a smile in his eyes. It seems that my wife doesn't want to sleep anymore. How about I take you to do something else? Shang Ruai's nerves stood up instantly. Watching him approach step by step, she said angrily, Jingheng, I warn you, if you get closer, don't blame me for being rude. Jingheng's smile became even bigger, and his figure instantly came in front of her, and before she could react, he pressed her acupoints. What are you doing? Shang Ruai's internal strength cultivation is far from reaching the pinnacle, and it is impossible to forcefully break through the acupoints. Now the only chance is to hide in the space, but in this way, he will know the secret of her space. Just as she hesitated, He Jingheng had come close to her. He stretched out his hand, gradually moved closer to her face, and just as she was about to hide in the space, a cloak was draped over her. In Shang Ruai's surprised eyes, He Jingheng tapped her nose. "What are you thinking about?" "In my eyes, I am a frivolous person?" Shang Ruai pulled the corner of her lips and said nothing. "How is he not? Where is he not? And you said he is not a frivolous person? And you said he was not frivolous to her? Did he forget what he did to her before he left for Xiling?" Seeing that she was silent, he knew what she was thinking. He Jingheng touched the tip of his nose and explained softly, "I couldn't control my emotions last time, and I didn't mean to be frivolous." "Shut up." Shang Ruai rolled her eyes at him. "If you say anything more, you will end up with your meridians broken, and you will go crazy. I will fight you too." "My lady, don't be angry." He Jingheng smiled. "I'll take you somewhere." "Where are you going in the middle of the night?" Shang Ruai was a little sleepy. She had been traveling for 2 days without sleep, and she had to deal with so many messes when she came back. Even with the protection of the space, she couldn't handle it. "You'll know when you go there." He didn't untie her acupoints, but wrapped her tightly with a cloak. He kicked the door open and Yunqi, who was standing outside the door, stood up quickly. "Prince, no need to follow." "Don't follow?" Yunqi blinked and was about to speak when He Jingheng stopped him with a look. The look in the prince's eyes seemed like he wanted to eat someone. He tapped his toes lightly, and Shang Ruai felt her body floating up. Qinggong. Although she had internal strength in her body, Qinggong was not something that could be practiced just by having internal strength. At this moment, she only felt the wind whistling in her ears. He Jingheng was very fast, and soon he stopped. After lifting the cloak, Shang Ruai saw the scene in front of her. Shang Ruai could not help but stand there in a daze. She had never seen such a beautiful starry sky. They were standing on the top of a mountain at this time. The mountain was so high that you could pick the stars with your hands. This sentence was not an exaggeration. Looking up, the sky was full of stars, like a galaxy. So beautiful. Shang Ruai couldn't help but sigh. "This is the most beautiful scenery I have ever seen." She turned her head to look at He Jingheng. "Thank you." He Jingheng smiled. "My lady, you don't have to be polite. As long as you like it, I will do anything for you." Shang Ruai blushed when she heard this. She turned around and looked at the starry sky. Her eyes were full of excitement, and her fatigue was reduced a lot. She didn't realize that in this place where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered, the spiritual energy in the space became more and more rich. He Jingheng walked to his side and whispered, "Do you know what the most beautiful scenery I have ever seen is?" Shang Ruai knew what he was going to say by looking at the look in his eyes. She turned her head and looked at the sky without answering. He Jingheng saw this, and his eyes became slightly lonely. He knew that she had not made up her mind yet, so he said no more. He Jingheng. After a long while, Shang Ruai said slowly, "I don't understand the love between men and women. I have never thought about spending my life with a man. I don't know how to be a qualified wife and treat my husband with respect. No one has ever taught me how to get along with my husband." She turned around and looked at He Jingheng, who was a little dazed beside her. "Do you still think I am good like this?" She has been traveling through time for so long, and she has never seen such an expression on He Jingheng's face. "I wish to win the heart of one man and stay together till old age. This is a beautiful dream of most women. Men like to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. After a long time, women have to compromise, but I am not that kind of person." Shang Ruai looked at him and said firmly, "If you do anything to let me down, whether it is taking a concubine or raising a mistress, or even having the slightest ambiguous relationship with other women, I will not tolerate it. I will not leave alone, but I will kick you out. Do you think it's okay?" The smile on He Jingheng's face gradually widened, and the loneliness in his eyes had long been replaced by excitement. "Are you serious?" His hand holding Shang Ruai's arm couldn't stop shaking. I still remember the first time I followed my father to the battlefield and won my first victory in my life. I think that might be the most unforgettable moment in my life. He looked at Shang Ruai steadily. But now I have finally encountered a day that I will never forget, and it is also the most important day for me. Time will tell. Let's wait and see. He Jingheng heard this, and a helpless smile appeared in his eyes. He had never seen a woman like her. Even at this time, she was terribly rational. He Jingheng looked at her profile and suddenly wanted to tease her. He stretched out his hands and pinched her face. What are you doing? Nothing, I just want to see if there is an old woman older than my mother living under your beautiful skin. He Jingheng smiled. I'm afraid my mother is not as calm as you. Shang Ruai couldn't help blushing when she heard this. Counting her age in the previous life, isn't she older than Qin? With this calculation, it turned out that she had taken advantage of He Jingheng. Shang Ruai looked at the starry sky in the distance, and soon she felt her eyelids getting heavier. She found a comfortable position in He Jingheng's arms and slowly fell asleep. Feeling her even breathing, He Jingheng lowered his head, his eyes full of pity, and lifted his cloak up. I will definitely protect you. When Shang Ruai woke up, it was already the next morning. Xiaoyao brought a basin of water. Miss, if you don't wake up, you will miss breakfast time. Shang Ruai stretched and recalled the conversation between herself and He Jingheng last night, and a smile appeared on her face. Miss, is there any good news? Xiaoyao asked with a smile. You look so happy, but is it related to your outing with the prince yesterday? Shang Ruai glanced at her. You are getting bolder and bolder. You are playing a joke on me. Xiaorao blinked. Really? But the guards in this mansion are spreading the news.
What?
It was spread all over the mansion early in the morning, saying that the prince brought you back wrapped in a cloak last night. Now all the secret guards in the mansion know her true identity. The smile on Shang Ruai's face disappeared. He Jingheng. After she washed up and walked out of the room, Yunqi walked up to her. Crown Princess. Shang Ruai found that the way he looked at her was also different from usual. Yunqi, I see that you are very idle these days, and I have some errands for you. Just follow the orders of the Crown Princess. Have you dug the ponds I asked you to dig in the farm some time ago? Don't worry, everything has been arranged. Shang Ruai nodded. Dig another one. I will go to see it myself tomorrow night. Yunqi was shocked when he heard it. It has to be done tomorrow? Why is it so urgent? Crown Princess, your subordinate. Shang Ruai rolled her eyes at him. Go. Yunqi went to dig the pond bitterly. Shang Ruai was in the room looking at the letter sent by Ah Cheng. It was sent by the old man of the Li family. As soon as she left that day, the old man sent someone to deliver it. But Shang Ruai's pace was too fast, and the messenger could not catch up. In the letter, her grandfather told her in detail about the Li family's property. What does he mean? Is he going to hand over the Li family to her? Shang Ruai rubbed her eyebrows, and at this moment, He Jingheng walked in. I heard that you asked Yunqi to dig a pond? Shang Ruai put away the letter in her hand. Look at the secret guards of your Dingwa palace. Their skills are not very good, but they are comparable to the ant at the entrance of the village. He Jingheng couldn't help laughing. Her ways of mocking people are really endless. The guards guarding the door blushed when they heard this. However, most of the secret guards were dissatisfied. They were the strongest people carefully selected by Dingwa Palace. How could they become so unbearable in her mouth? Feeling the sudden rise of momentum outside, Shang Ruai sneered. It seems that your men are not convinced. Young and energetic, they must suffer a little. He Jingheng curled his lips slightly. Are you interested in helping me train the soldiers? Train the soldiers? He Jingheng nodded. I will go back to Beijing recently. Do you want to go with me? Go again? Shang Ruai shook her head. I have a lot of things to do recently. I am afraid I can't get away. Just then, a guard said at the door, Prince, the prince said that he wanted Lingjun God. Let the prince's wife go to diagnose the pulse. When he said the 3 words prince's wife, he was obviously a little dissatisfied. Last night, only a few secret guards followed Shang Ruai. Most of the secret guards in the mansion only knew that she had a powerful medical skill, but did not know how high her martial arts had reached. So when she said that they were weak, they were very unhappy and looked at her with unfriendly eyes. Shang Ruai didn't care much about it. She walked in front, and He Jingheng followed behind. Looking at her straight back, a smile flashed in his eyes. The two came to Hiyuan's room, and Hiyuan was sitting upright on the armchair. Seeing Shang Ruai come in, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Seeing this, He Jingheng couldn't help but said, "Father, if you can't laugh, don't force yourself. Your smile is really creepy. Don't scare my wife again." "Stinky boy, shut up quickly." Hiyuan glared at him. When he thought of what he said in front of his daughter-in-law yesterday, he couldn't help blushing. Shang Ruai stepped forward and said, "Your Majesty, I will check your pulse." Hiyuan heard her address him and couldn't help but say, "Child, you should follow Jingheng and call me father."
Yes.
Shang Ruai put her hand on his wrist and checked his pulse carefully. Hiyuan saw that she just responded with a yes, and he knew her attitude towards him. He didn't expect that this little girl would hold a grudge. "As I said yesterday, there's nothing wrong with your body. You only need to recuperate for more than a month and you'll be back to normal. Thank you for your hard work during this period." Hiyuan smiled and said, "Child, you've been suffering since you first married into the Dingwa Palace. It's really unfair to you." He Jingheng couldn't help laughing when he heard that. "Father, the most similar thing between you and the Emperor is that you both talk nonsense." "Stinky boy, what nonsense are you talking about? Am I wrong? If you really feel it's hard, then take out real money." Shang Ruai couldn't help but look at him when she heard that. At this moment, He Jingheng's figure became taller in her heart. "Now that the palace is sealed, I want to take out the silver. Where can I get it? Should I rob? Why not?" He Jingheng frowned, his eyes filled with coldness. "They are the first to be unkind. Can it be that only the state officials are allowed to set fires, but the people are not allowed to light lamps?"
You.
Yuan slapped the table. "What are you talking about here?
Get out."
He glanced at Shang Ruai and saw that her face did not change at all, and his heart sank. Shang Ruai joined their palace, but in the final analysis, she was still Shang Nian's flesh and blood. As a minion of Emperor Tianshun, Shang Nian was naturally opposed to their Dingwa palace. In fact, when the emperor granted the marriage in the early years, his purpose was also very clear. That is, to let He Jingheng's prince consort monitor every move of Dingwa Palace. Now that the palace has collapsed, Shang Nian's concubine is still in the He family, which makes him suspicious. Although Shang Ruai saved his life, he still couldn't trust her completely. His son would not be so stupid as to tell her everything about the Dingwa Palace. Although he did not want to admit it, he could not help but feel depressed when he saw his son's unreserved behavior. At this moment, Shang Ruai left with an excuse, and Hiyuan stopped He Jingheng, who was about to leave with her. "You won't hand over all the secrets of the palace to her?" He Jingheng nodded. "Why not? Did you hurt your brain when you were in exile? How could you do such a stupid thing?" Hiyuan said angrily. "Let alone her background. Why did you tell such an important thing in the palace to a woman? Besides, she is Shang Nian's daughter."
Do you know that Shang Nian?
"So what?" He Jingheng looked at him coldly. "Is it because she is a woman that father does not want her to interfere in the affairs of the palace, or because she is Shang Nian's daughter?" Hiyuan said in a deep voice, "No matter what the reason, you should not do these things. Father, in my heart, she is just my crown prince's consort. She has nothing to do with other identities. So, what if she is Shang Nian's daughter? I only know that if it weren't for her, my grandmother, my mother, and all the women in the He family might have died on the way, and my legs might have been crippled long ago. As for you, Father, I'm afraid you won't have the chance to sit here and scold me. I believe in her and believe that she won't betray me or the He family." "Ridiculous." Hiyuan walked up to him, raised one hand, and after a while, put it down heavily. "Forget it." He sat back in the chair and sighed. "You know, what you entrusted to her is not only your own life, nor just the fate of Dingwa Palace, but the lives and property of thousands of soldiers who depend on the palace. If she betrays you one day, everyone will be doomed. You are betting on the rise and fall of the world, making a big gamble." Shang Ruai came to the farm, not far away. Since she decided to raise Dongju clams, she asked Yunqi to buy this place. Coincidentally, there is also a hot spring here, which is a pleasant surprise. Yunqi was digging the pool with all his strength. Shang Ruai came forward and Yunqi saluted. Princess concubine. Well done. Shang Ruai smiled. It seems that you are really strong. Princess concubine, I know I was wrong, and I will never talk nonsense again. Yunqi had a bitter face and looked like he was about to cry. It is great to know one's mistakes and improve them. A child can be taught. A child can be taught. She nodded. Yunqi thought he didn't have to do this hard work anymore. Before he could smile, he heard her say, Well dug, keep going. Xiaoyao almost laughed out loud. Yunqi had no choice but to continue working hard. Shang Ruai came to the pool that had been dug long ago. At this time, water was already in the pool. She put her hand in the water, pretending to test the water temperature, and put the spiritual spring water in the space into the pool. The pearl oysters in the spiritual spring in the space have grown visibly. It can be seen that just as she thought, this spiritual spring is of great help to the growth of pearl oysters. At night, as she expected, dozens of carriages stopped at the door of the manor. Shang Ruai walked forward, opened the lids one by one, and put the pearl oysters in the space back into the bucket. Miss, don't worry, according to your instructions, we haven't opened the lids all the way. Thank you for your hard work. Shang Ruai took out a few gold leaves. It's just a little gift, just like inviting brothers to tea. The in charge of delivering the goods heard this and waved his hand and said, We have been friends with Mr. Li for so many years. We brothers will deliver the goods, even if he orders us to do it at the risk of our lives. The old man of the Li family once helped the agency overcome difficulties when they were in trouble. People in the rivers and lakes are the most loyal. A drop of water should be repaid with a spring, not to mention that it is a grace of rebirth. But he was a little curious. Every year, the Li family sent out hundreds of goods through their hands, but the old man of the Li family had never given such careful instructions. He secretly looked at Shang Ruai. What was the relationship between this woman and the Li family? Your friendship with the old man is one thing, and my side is another. I will inevitably trouble you in the future. This little gift is not very valuable. Please accept it. Hearing her sincere words, it would be a bit tactless to refuse. Thank you, young lady. Shang Ruai looked at the Dongju oysters in the pond and concentrated her mind. Her eyes penetrated the shells and found that there was a shiny in each shell, which was the Dongju. This Dongju oyster with the black shell is obviously much better than the one with a green shell. Why did Manager Lin say that the black Dongju oysters needed to be processed? She fished out a Dongju oyster. The Dongju in the shell was already the size of a soybean. She opened the shell and couldn't help but stand there in a daze. This oriental pearl is actually purple. In Tianshan, the pearls that were tribute to the royal family were all white, but this kind of purple oriental pearl had never been seen before. Miss, what is this?
Oriental pearl. Oriental pearl.
Xiaoyao exclaimed. It's purple. I've never heard of it. Yunqi also came forward and looked at the oriental pearl. His eyes lit up. This purple bead is really beautiful, but how much silver can this oriental pearl sell for? Things are rare and valuable, and I have the final say on how much silver it can sell for. Shang Ruai smiled. I can sell it for as much silver as I want. She asked Xiaorao to bring a golden Nama box and put the oriental pearl in it. Miss, this oriental pearl oyster is only worth 3 taels of silver, but this box is worth 500 taels. You are short-sighted. Shang Ruai tapped Xiaoyao's forehead. Just wait for your lady to multiply the value of this oriental pearl by hundreds of times. Hundreds of times? The old man of the Li family read Shang Ruai's reply, which only talked about the eastern pearl mussel. He sighed and put the letter away. Grandfather, what's wrong with you? Li Xia put the ginseng soup on the table. But the reply from Sister Shang? The old man nodded. She said that the batch of eastern pearl mussels she bought before must not be thrown away. But the eastern pearls produced by the black eastern pearl mussels are all black and smelly. We have opened so many of them, and they're all without exception. Why does Sister Shang want to keep them? I don't know much, but since she said so, just arrange for the servants to do so. The old man drank the ginseng soup and stroked his chest. In recent days, he has been taking the pills left by his granddaughter every day. He often feels warm in his heart, and his body is much stronger than before. Grandfather, what valuables are in this box? She pointed to the box on the table. This golden Nama box is rare. Look at me, I'm really old and confused. The old man smiled and said, This is sent by your sister Shang, saying it's for you. You'll definitely like it. Li Xiaxia couldn't help but be happy when she heard it. She knew that Sister Shang was thinking of her. She carefully opened the box and looked at the purple bead lying quietly in the middle of the box. She couldn't help but be stunned. Is this a Dongzhu? Seeing her like this, the old man couldn't help but look over curiously. His reaction was even greater than Li Xiaxia's. Purple Dongzhu. It was really a purple Dongzhu. He stood up swoosh, and the chair behind him was overturned. Purple bead, he exclaimed. How is this possible? Grandfather, am I dazzled? Li Xiaxia murmured. Beautiful, too beautiful. The old man was not in the mood to appreciate the beauty of the purple bead. He hurriedly took a key and took out an exquisite box from the secret compartment. Inside the box was a purple Dongzhu. The purple pearl was a little bigger than the one Shangruai sent, but the color was not as rich. Miracle! Miracle! The old man cried with joy, which frightened Li Xiaxia. Before leaving, Sister Shang repeatedly warned her grandfather not to get emotional. Grandfather, you calm down. How can I calm down? The old man laughed. 100 years. After 100 years, our Li family finally has purple pearls again. Thinking of what she said in the letter, he waved his hand. Give orders to keep all the black pearl oysters.
Yes.
After figuring out the key, Li Xiaxia ran out in a hurry. There's hope. There's hope. The Li family is saved. The old man sat on a chair, looking at the sky outside, 2 lines of turbid tears streaming down his face. Thanks to the blessings of our ancestors, the Li family finally has a successor. Just one day before He Jingheng was about to leave for the capital, Zhou Xiang and others came to the farm again. Young master, Zhou Xiang is here again. The secret guard glanced at Shang Ruai on the side and whispered. He said he came to ask the genius Dr. Ling Jun for help. Shang Ruai was preparing pills, and she didn't even bother to look at the guard. Tell him that everyone has their own destiny. If someone seeks death, it is God who wants to take him away. I'm just a mortal. How can I people from the king of? He Jingheng waved his hand, and the guard's mouth twitched, and he turned around to go out and answer. Is Situan really hopeless? Shang Ruai looked at him. Why? You can't bear to part with him?
No.
He Jingheng shook his head. It's just that Tian Shun still needs him now. Then I'll let him live for a while. Shang Ruai shook the pill in her hand. After a year, I'm sure the king of won't blame me. He Jingheng touched her head with a smile in his eyes. Then please let him live for a while. Shang Ruai slapped his hand on her head and rolled her eyes at him. Don't touch my head. There are many fatal acupuncture points on the head, and the head is her forbidden area. Yunqi stood at the door and rubbed his sore arms. He had been digging the pool all day these days and his body was exhausted. At this moment, a porcelain bottle flew over. He subconsciously held it. 1 pill a day, starting tomorrow. Wait for me on the parade ground at Inshur. Shang Ruai's voice came. Yunqi looked at the porcelain bottle in his hand, and his eyes lit up. This is. He did not notice that the other secret guards in the yard cast their eyes, some sympathetic and some gloating. As the leader of the secret guards, Yunqi follows their prince all day long. It is impossible for other secret guards not to envy him. Who doesn't want to be a popular person in front of the prince? Now, he has been assigned to the side of the prince's wife by the prince. Although she is the prince's wife, she is a woman after all. What about the leader of the secret guards? There will be no future. When the prince dislikes her one day, maybe the position of leader will have to be replaced. A bottle of pills made him so happy, as if he had never seen anything good and lost face for nothing. How could they know the effect of this pill? Although Yunqi didn't know it very well, the pills prepared by the prince's wife herself must be extraordinary. At this moment, the guard came back again. Princess, Zhou Xiang refused to leave. He handed over 30,000 taels of silver, 2 red corals and a night-shining pearl, saying that as long as Situwen could be cured, he would provide a more generous reward. Shang Ruai looked at the red coral in his hand and nodded. The quality of this coral is really excellent. Yes, it seems that Zhou Xiang has invested a lot of money. He Jingheng smiled. It's even better than what was sent on the day of our wedding. Forget it. Shang Ruai packed the last pill. Since they are so sincere, let them in. Take them to the side hall. Yes. Soon, several people came to the side hall carrying a stretcher. Zhou Xiang bowed his hands. Master Lingjun, please save General Situ. If General Situ died here, he would be punished for dereliction of duty by the emperor even if he returned to the capital. Moreover, they did not find any trace of Hiyuan. If he returned in disgrace, if the emperor was furious, he would be in great pain. Master Zhou, it's not that I don't want to help you. She looked at Situwen, whose face was already purple and black, and now he was almost out of breath, breathing more than inhaling. General Situ's current condition, I'm afraid he won't live for long. Shang Ruai sighed twice. I'm a doctor, not a god. Zhou Xiang heard this and hurriedly said, but you are a miracle doctor. I can only say that I will try my best. Shang Ruai said in a deep tone, but I can't guarantee that there will be no sequelae. Thank you, miracle doctor. Zhou Xiang said with his hands bowed. As long as Situwen can return to the capital alive, it will be fine. Shang Ruai felt her pulse, took out a silver needle and inserted it directly into his head, which frightened Zhou Xiang. How could he survive with such a long silver needle inserted into his head? Shang Ruai took out more than a dozen silver needles and inserted them into several major acupuncture points around her body. Help him up. Shang Ruai said coldly. The guards Zhou Xiang brought with him hurriedly helped Situwen sit up. Shang Ruai gathered her internal force in her palm and slapped him the back. Puff. A mouthful of black blood spurted out of Situwen's mouth, carrying a fishy smell. As luck would have it, the black blood sprayed on Zhou Xiang's face and collar. Ugh. Zhou Xiang's face suddenly changed, and he hurriedly took off his robe. Seeing this, Shang Ruai curled the corners of her lips slightly to hide the flash of light in her eyes. Shang Ruai looked at her deformed right arm, stretched out her hand, and heard a click, and the arm returned to its original position. She casually took out a wooden board and fixed Situwen's arm. For now, his life is saved. His arm needs to be healed for at least half a year, but it is absolutely impossible to recover to the same condition as before. Even if it was possible, she would not help him heal. After all, He Jingheng said that he only needed to live for a year. Zhou Xiang's eyes flickered. I heard that Prince Ding's leg, He Jingheng, was able to recover after a broken tendon. I wonder which miracle doctor helped him heal it? It turned out that he was waiting for her here. Shang Ruai curled her lips and said in a cold voice, Does Lord Zhou think it was me who did it? She washed her hands and said lightly, I haven't heard of anyone whose broken tendons can be reconnected. If Lord Zhou knows who has such a great ability, you must tell me, and I must go and ask for advice. Hee, I just heard it. Zhou Xiang had a flattering smile on his face. Besides, who else in the world can compare with the medical skills of the miracle doctor? Lord Zhou, you are too kind. Didn't you just say that the broken leg of the Prince of Ding was reconnected? No, it's just some hearsay. Zhou Xiang smiled bitterly. To be honest, I was misled by that villain and caused many misunderstandings. Please don't blame me. You saved the lives of the Emperor and the Queen. You are the great benefactor of the entire Tianshan. We are always grateful for your kindness. When we come to your Majesty and the Queen in the future, please don't tell you about today's misunderstanding, otherwise my life will be in danger. Although his words were a bit exaggerated, they were 70% credible. Shang Ruai smiled. Lord Zhou said it was a misunderstanding. Why would I hold on to it? Thank you for your consideration, Doctor. He saluted and took out a cloth bag from his arms. "This is a little gift from me. Please don't despise it." Shang Ruai took the cloth bag and opened it, and found a pearl inside. "Dr. Lingjun, this Dongju was awarded by the emperor. I have always treasured it. Please don't despise it." Shang Ruai smiled and said, "Since it was awarded by the emperor, Lord Zhou should keep it well. I am a man and have no interest in jewelry like Dongju. If the doctor has a woman he likes in the future, this Dongju will be a gift from me." He handed it over again. Shang Ruai shook her head and said, "You should keep such an important thing for you." She was not being rude, but she really didn't like this Dongju. It was not even as big as a soybean, not round enough, and he said it was so precious. Why should she owe him a favor for such a small thing? Seeing that she really didn't want to accept it, Zhou Xiang had to put it away. "Master Zhou, if you're all right, please go back. I am tired after all this trouble." Shang Ruai said in a low voice, "Regarding General Situ's poison, I have to say it in advance. He is deeply poisoned. I have tried my best. How long he can live depends on his luck." After sending these people away, Shang Ruai washed her hands again with spiritual spring water. The poison in situ, Wen's body had penetrated deep into his bone marrow. Even the blood he just vomited was poisonous. It would be contaminated if touched. His blood sprayed on Zhou Xiang's skin. It would not take long for the poison to appear in his body. How long he could last before the poison took effect depended on his luck. At this moment, the white tiger in the space suddenly became anxious. "What's going on?" Just when she was puzzled, the house suddenly shook. "Is this an earthquake?" The next moment, the shaking suddenly stopped. Just then, He Jingheng rushed in. "Ruai." "Nothing," Shang Ruai whispered. "It seemed like there was an earthquake just now." "Yeah." He Jingheng's chin was taut, and he held her in his arms, and said with lingering fear, "It's good that you're okay. It's good that you're okay." Shang Ruai felt his hand trembling slightly. She couldn't help but curl the corners of her lips and patted him on the back. "Don't worry. Tian Shan is mostly plains, and earthquakes rarely occur. Moreover, most people don't know what earthquakes are. Whenever there is such a disaster, it is said to be a disaster from heaven and an offense to the gods." But even so, isn't He Jingheng a little too nervous? Feeling the struggle of the person in his arms, He Jingheng came to his senses. "What's wrong?" He Jingheng touched her head, and there was a bit of fear in his eyes. "He Jingheng." "Nothing, nothing." He took a breath. "Come with me to the capital." Shang Ruai couldn't help but smile when she saw him like this. "It's just an earthquake. Why did you get so scared? How can you look like a young god of war?" Everyone knew it was a joke, and even the secret guards guarding the door couldn't help laughing. However, there was still no smile on He Jingheng's face, and even the fear in his eyes didn't diminish at all. It was exactly the same as the scene in the dream. Ago, when he was still in the western regions, he had this dream. In the dream, the sky collapsed and the earth sank, and Shang Ruai disappeared in this violent shock. That's why he rushed back from the western regions so quickly. Nothing happened for a few days after he came back, and he thought it was just a dream. Unexpectedly, there would be an earthquake the day before he left. "Don't worry, even if there is an earthquake, I will never be in any danger. I will protect myself." Shang Ruai patted him like comforting a child. He Jingheng's heart was really soothed by her. The next day before dawn, Shang Ruai got up and went to the school grounds in the backyard. Yunqi had been waiting there for a long time. Shang Ruai was wearing a tight suit and jumped onto the arena neatly. "Crown Princess." Yunqi bowed and said, "Thank you for the medicine." The discomfort he felt yesterday disappeared after taking the medicine. "What about other feelings?" "Other feelings?" Yunqi shook his arms. "I don't have any other feelings yet." Before he finished speaking, a figure flashed in front of him. Yunqi quickly put his hands in front of his chest, and Shang Ruai punched his outstretched hand, and the powerful force instantly kicked him off the arena. Yunqi's body fell to the ground before his brain could react. He was still a little dazed when he stood up. "Crown Princess." Shang Ruai stood on the arena and said with a smile, "Do you want to become stronger?" Yunqi heard this and nodded quickly. Please give me some advice. Defeat me.
What?
Fight with the crown princess? How can I do this? Yunqi hesitated and refused to take action. If he hurt the crown princess, he was afraid that he would be beaten to death by the crown prince.
Why?
Are you afraid of being beaten down by me and embarrassed? Shang Ruai said with a sneer. I'm afraid of you. Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing when she heard that. She turned around and stopped looking at him. Young man, don't brag too early. She waved her hand. I can beat two of you. She didn't have internal strength before, and she was at a disadvantage when fighting him, but now she has internal strength and is more than enough to deal with him. If you want to become stronger, you must have firm beliefs and defeat your opponent. In a real battle, only one side can survive. If you are strong, he will be weak, and if you are weak, he will be strong. If you want to win, you must risk your life. Shang Ruai's voice was cold, and her back was like a statue. Yunqi was shocked by her momentum and didn't come back to his senses for a long time. If you want to win, you must risk your life. Yunqi half knelt on the ground. Please teach me, princess. It was not until dawn that the wailing on the training ground stopped. Yunqi lay on the ground with a trace of blood on the corner of his lips. I've just warmed up. Let's have another fight. Shang Ruai's face was not red, and she was not out of breath. On the other hand, Yunqi was covered in dust and dirt, even worse than when he was digging the pond a few days ago. Just warmed up? Yunqi even had difficulty moving his fingers, let alone another fight. At the beginning, he was a little bit lenient, fearing that he would hurt her if he didn't control the strength of his attack. After a few rounds, he was surprised to find that the gap between reality and his imagination was too big. Every move that landed on him seemed to weigh hundreds of pounds. If he didn't try his best to resist, he would definitely be kicked out of the field by her. He Jingheng stood on the attic outside the training ground, looking at Shang Ruai's deadly moves, and couldn't help frowning. Her punches seemed direct, but they hit the flesh. She didn't use all her strength to beat Yunqi into this state. If she really fought with others, I'm afraid she would kill them instantly before others could react. Shang Ruai threw him a porcelain bottle. 2 pills a day. You will come to thank me. After saying that, she jumped off the ring lightly. Yunqi almost cried when he saw this. Crown Princess, you are so strong. Why do you need their protection? If they encounter danger in the future, they will be thankful that they don't hold the Crown Princess back. Not only He Jingheng saw this fight, but also many secret guards of Dinghua Palace. The shock on their faces was even greater. Just now, the Crown Princess kicked Yunwei down with one kick. It seems like this. Didn't Yunwei let her go? Let her go? A secret guard almost shouted. Are you blind? Didn't you see that Yunwei's killer moves were useless? They are all martial artists. How could they not see these? So their Yunwei was really knocked off the ring by the Crown Princess with a few punches and kicks. Thinking of this, the secret guards who originally looked down on her could not help but tremble in their hearts. Shang Ruai changed her clothes and went to the attic. He Jingheng saw her coming in, handed her a cup of steaming tea, and said with a smile, Why use a butcher knife to kill a chicken? I have my own way to make them convinced. There are some things that I don't like to rely on others to complete. Shang Ruai's head was slightly sweaty, but her breath was steady. He Jingheng looked at her appearance. It was really, as she said, effortless. She showed this skill today, and no one in this mansion would dare to look down on her again. Leaving for the capital today? He Jingheng nodded. It will probably take more than a month. I'll trouble you to take care of the affairs in the mansion. Shang Ruai looked at the water mist rising faintly in the teacup, and a trace of homesickness suddenly emerged in her heart. This was an emotion she had never had before. This emotion has been shrouding her until she received the letter from Bailing. Princess, your letter. A secret guard stepped forward and respectfully placed the letter on the table. Ever since she taught Yunqi Kung Fu on the training ground, all the secret guards in the mansion changed their faces. How dare they be disrespectful to her? Wouldn't that be asking for trouble? However, most of them wanted to be with her in the future. After all, she only taught Yunqi for a few days, and Yunwei's martial arts were more powerful than before. The most important thing was that they all wanted to get a musket. Shang Rui only taught Yunqi how to use a musket. In their eyes, this musket was both powerful and mysterious. It could actually spit out fire and kill people in the blink of an eye. After reading the letter, Shang Rui couldn't help but smile. It was indeed someone she liked. A young man could be taught. It was the Bailing Li family. Li Xiaxia sent this purple dongju to the most famous auction house in Bailing. Presumably, such a precious treasure would make people compete for bidding. At that time, she would just sit back and reap the benefits. It seems that I have to go to Bailing. Yunqi heard this and hurriedly said, I will go with you. Shang Rui shook her head. I will leave with your son at the same time. The He family still has this house that needs someone to guard it. You are in charge of it. She had a premonition that the capital would not be peaceful. In the evening, Shang Rui returned to the He family and told the old princess that she was going to Bailing. How can people feel at ease if a woman like you goes so far alone? The old princess frowned slightly. Why not leave the matter to Jingxi, or your third uncle? Jingxi heard this and waved his hands. Grandma, I can't do this job.
Yes.
He Ziyuan also said, He family affairs have always been managed by Ruai. I don't know much about Bailing's business dealings, so it's better not to interfere. The old princess glared at them secretly, and after hearing their refusal, she had to give up. But before Shang Ruai left, she gave her many more instructions. As a woman, it is better not to show up in public. If there is anything, try to let the servants do it. The old princess whispered, lest you lose your status in vain. Grandmother, why can't a woman show up in public? She raised her chin slightly, and a faint cold light flashed in her eyes. The so-called status is given by oneself. If you are disturbed by the worldly eyes and live in the eyes and discussions of others all day long, what's the point? There is an old saying, enjoy yourself and have fun. Sit in front of the guests at the banquet. The scene cannot be retained. Life is like a turning tumbleweed. It is better to achieve it early than late, and it is shameful to be compared with the fishermen. People should enjoy themselves and sing wildly in their lives. Grandmother, what do you think? The old princess looked at her and murmured, the scene cannot be retained. Life is like a turning tumbleweed. After a while, a self-deprecating smile overflowed from the corner of her lips. My old bones are not as clear as a little kid like you. Yes, mother, although Ruoi is young, her insights are extraordinary. Qin said with a smile, I feel most at ease, leaving the He family to her.
Come with me.
The old princess took her to the inner room, took out a box from the cabinet, and opened it, revealing a ring. Shang Rui's pupils shrank slightly. This was exactly the same as the one He Jingheng gave her. The old princess saw her expression and knew that she had seen this ring before. Haha, it seems that Jingheng has already handed the ring to you. The old princess smiled and said, in this way, he has recognized your position as the mistress from the bottom of his heart. Grandmother, what is this? The old princess took out the ring and placed it in Shang Rui's palm. From today on, the He family is really handed over to you. The old princess said solemnly, there are 2 rings in the Dingwa Palace. One can command thousands of troops, and the other is the key to the underground palace. Underground palace? Yes, I don't know what is in the underground palace. When your grandfather handed it to me, he only said that it was of great importance and must be kept properly. Shang Rui was a little confused. Then why not give this ring to mother? The old princess shook her head. Your mother-in-law is weak by nature. Even a concubine dares to climb over her head. If such an important thing was handed over to her for safekeeping, it would have disappeared long ago. Grandmother, I can't accept such an important thing. Shang Rui refused. It's better to keep it with you. Child, Grandma is old, and I don't know how long she can live. Don't worry about tomorrow's affairs today. If something happens and no one inherits this ring, there will be a big mess. The old princess put the ring in her hand. Now that I have handed this thing to you, it means that I recognize you. You will really be in charge of the Dingwa Palace. Hearing this, Shang Rui had to nod and put the ring away. Grandma, don't worry, I will definitely keep it well. Shang Rui still brought Ah Cheng and Xiaorao with her on this trip. Since the two of them rode together, their relationship has become much more ambiguous than before. Shang Ruai looked at Xiaoyao's blushing face from time to time and couldn't help shaking her head. If she had known earlier, she would have brought Yunqi with her. Along the way, Shang Ruai found that more and more people were going to Bailing. Bailing is located in the extreme north, and there are not many people going there for business. Why are there so many vendors today? At this moment, the conversation of several people passing by reached Shang Ruai's ears. Have you heard about it? There is a purple oriental pearl in the Bailing auction house.
Of course I heard about it.
Purple oriental pearls have not been seen for 100 years. That's why I came all the way here. Even if I can't get it, it's a great honor to see it with my own eyes. It's worth the trip. I wonder which force will end up with such a precious treasure. At this moment, a luxurious carriage slowly appeared in front of everyone. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. A man shouted loudly, "You've delayed my lady's trip, I'll make you pay." He raised his whip and swung it at the people on both sides of the road. Be careful. The whip was whipped towards Shang Ruai's face. Ah Chung flew forward, grabbed the whip, and exerted force. The driver was taken away from the carriage and fell heavily to the ground.
Ouch.
It hurts so much. The man cried out in pain and got up from the ground. Who plotted against me? The door of the carriage opened, and a woman in purple grabbed the reins, stopped the carriage, and shouted angrily, "How dare you? How dare you attack Our Lady's carriage? Are you tired of living?" She set her eyes on Ah Cheng. "You are the one who took the whip." Ah Cheng's face was grim. "So what?" The woman pulled out a thin whip. "How? Today I will let you see what happens if you offend someone you shouldn't offend." At this moment, a woman's voice came from the carriage. Chuaner, Mississippi. Just when everyone thought that the woman in the carriage would ask the maid named Chuaner to stop, she said in a cold voice, "No need to hold back." Yes. Everyone couldn't help but widen their eyes when they heard it. This is simply unreasonable. It was her driver who swung the whip around and almost hurt the master. Now she is blaming him. It is really speechless. Chuaner sneered and raised the thin whip. The thin whip was covered with dense barbs. If it was whipped by the thin whip, the skin on the body would be lifted up. The barbs on it glowed with a faint green light under the light, and it was obvious that it was poisoned. She raised her eyebrows and the thin whip came towards Ah Cheng's face. Ah Cheng has been with Shang Ruai these days and trained with Yunqi every day. Chuaner's moves are nothing to him. He drew out the soft sword at his waist, and the thin whip was wrapped around the sword. Ah Cheng used a clever force to take the thin whip away, and Chuaner's body fell heavily to the ground. "Ah Cheng, stop when you are done," Shang Ruai said lightly. "Don't miss the trip." "Yes, sir." He threw the thin whip on the ground and turned away. Chuaner's eyes were like knives, and she wished she could stab Ah Cheng through. How could she be willing to embarrass herself in front of everyone? If she lost to the man in front of her, the lady would punish her severely when she returned. She slapped her sleeves, and a hidden weapon suddenly flew out. Shang Ruai has been paying attention to the movements here. The hidden weapon was fast and fierce, and Ah Cheng was close to it, so he had no time to react. Seeing that the hidden weapon was about to fall on him, there was a flash of silver light in Shang Ruai's hand, and 2 silver needles suddenly shot out.
Ding.
With a crisp sound, the hidden weapon was knocked to the ground by one of the silver needles, and the other silver needle was completely immersed in Chuaner's arm.
Ah!
There was only a scream, and Chuaner covered his arm with a blue face. There was no poison on the silver needle, just some liquid that amplified the pain. Chuaner's arm was shot through, but the pain was like his arm was cut off. Shang Ruai's face was cold, and she said in a low voice, "Your maidservant is ruthless. Others wanted to spare your life, but you insisted on bumping into them. In this case, you can't blame others for this fate." As soon as she finished speaking, she heard a cold shout from the woman in the carriage. "What are you shouting for? Trash, shameful thing. Why don't you get back here?" The woman closed her mouth, her eyes full of hatred, and ran to the side of the carriage in a dejected manner. The woman in the carriage did not let her get in. "You are covered in dust. dirty and smelly. Get out and sit outside.
Yes.
Chuaner covered his arm and sat outside the carriage. Shang Rui only felt a sharp gaze falling on her. There was no doubt that it was the woman in the carriage. At this moment, a strange fragrance came. Shang Rui frowned, and the colorless and odorless powder in her hand drifted away with the wind, and the people who were originally a little dizzy suddenly became clear-headed. At this time, the carriage had gone far away. Shang Rui narrowed her eyes slightly. The strange fragrance just now contained a strong poison. If you inhale it a few more times, you will be poisoned to death. This woman is so cruel and cruel. She is definitely not a good person. Young master. Ah Chung stepped forward and bowed. Thank you for saving me. It's okay. Shang Rui whispered. It's getting late. Let's hurry up. At this time, several passers-by stepped forward and said to Shang Rui, Young master, why do you have to offend the adopted daughter of the king of the Western Region city when you can't offend anyone else? That's right. The king of the city has great power in the Western region. He loves this adopted daughter very much. In the Western region, she is more noble than the royal princess. If you offend her, how can you have a good end? Shang Rui heard this and found it very interesting. She is just an adopted daughter. Why is she so noble? My lord, you don't know. It is said that the king of city originally had a daughter, but for some reason she disappeared. It is not known whether she was lost or died. The king of city missed her so much that he became ill. Later, he went out hunting and brought back a girl. It is said that her eyebrows and eyes are somewhat similar to the woman the king of city loved the most. Since then, the adopted daughter has been spoiled to the sky. Shang Rui nodded in understanding. So that's it. Is that woman the Princess Chim?
No.
A Western region's man said with a smile. The king of city has never married. TSK. I didn't expect that the king of city was actually a lovesick man. Not only that, it is said that the prince of the king of city's mansion is also born to that woman. Shang Rui listened to the secrets of the other mansion and couldn't help but be shocked. She gave birth to a son and got pregnant with a daughter, but in the end she had no status. This woman is really miserable. After listening to the stories of the king of city's mansion along the way, they finally arrived at the capital of Bailing. After the few people parted, Shang Rui came to the back door of the Li family. As soon as she got off the horse, the servant came to greet her. Miss, you are back. Shang Rui raised her eyebrows slightly. She had only been here once, but she didn't expect that they would remember her. Moreover, she was dressed as a man today. She couldn't help but look at the servant guarding the door a few more times. What's your name? Miss, I am Liyin. He smiled and said, Miss, the old master has been waiting for a long time. As he said, the old man had been preparing since he got the news that she was coming to Bailing. Seeing her come in, the old man excitedly stood up. Child. Shang Rui leaned forward slightly. Grandfather. Hearing those 3 words, the old man's eyes lit up, and his eyes were full of joy. Child. Good child. He couldn't help but burst into tears. He didn't expect to hear these 3 words in his lifetime. Shang Rui's heart moved slightly. She had never enjoyed the affection of her family in 2 lives, and she was a little at a loss for a moment. Don't get excited. Shang Rui's voice was slightly hoarse. It's better to have a heart disease and not have big ups and downs in emotions. Yes, Grandpa remembers what you said. He wiped his tears, but the tears in his eyes were completely out of control, and they rolled down again as soon as they were wiped clean. At this moment, Li Xiaxia walked in, saw Shang Rui, and said with a smile, Sister Shang.
Xiaxia.
Sister Shang, I didn't expect that our fate is so deep. We are a family. She took Shang Rui's arm. Then I have really found a backer. At this moment, a servant walked in. Old master, the shopkeeper of the auction house is here. Please come in. Shang Rui thought that the shopkeeper of such an auction house must be an old man of the same age as her grandfather, but she didn't expect it to be a woman with a charming figure and extremely beautiful looks. Grandpa Li, I am honored to meet you. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes falling on Shang Ruai. This young master looks unfamiliar, and it seems he is not from Bailing. The people of Bailing have a rough character and look more heroic than the people of Tianshan. Shopkeeper, you have a good eye. Shang Ruai bowed and said, I have a business to discuss with the old patriarch of the Li family. Upon hearing this, the old man knew that she did not want to reveal her identity at this time, so he smiled and said, That's right. There are so many rising talents nowadays. I can't help but admit my age.
What are you talking about, old man?
You are in such good health, you will surely live 100 years. Our auction house is still counting on more cooperation with you. Haha, then I will thank Shopkeeper Xiao for your good words. Shopkeeper Xiao looked at Shang Ruai, then at the old man, and seeing that he had no intention of asking her to avoid it, he said, Old man, today I am here to get the Dongzhu. In 2 hours, the auction will begin. The major chambers of commerce have heard about the purple Dongzhu you have here, and they have already prepared the silver. They are all rubbing their hands, waiting for the auction to begin. Shopkeeper Xiao said with a smile, After today's auction, the name of the Li family will probably be resounding throughout the 4 countries. After Shopkeeper Xiao left, the old man remembered the important matter. Child, tell your grandfather, is this purple pearl really from that clam?
Shang Ruai nodded. Yes.
Hearing this, Li Xia frowned slightly. But we opened many black clam shells, but there were either no pearls inside, or they were already black and smelly. We didn't even see the shadow of the purple pearl. Hearing her say this, Shang Ruai's heart moved. Could it be because of the spiritual spring water? When she was selecting the pearl clams that day, the water in the pond was really turbid. Manager Lin said that it was that turbid from the beginning. After changing the pond water several times, there was still no change. The only change was the addition of spiritual spring water. Hey, if we sell this purple pearl, what will we do if our family can't produce purple pearls in the future? The old man sighed. Now that purple pearls have become famous, I believe the emperor will ask us to pay tribute to them. He walked to the table and opened the secret compartment inside. There is also a purple pearl in it, but the quality is not as good as the one Ruai brought. If someone from the palace comes to ask for it, just hand it over. At this time, Shang Ruai smiled. Why do you think we can't produce purple oriental pearls anymore? As soon as she finished speaking, she took out a larger, rounder, and brighter purple pearl from her sleeve pocket.
This.
The old man was stunned in place. He simply couldn't describe his mood at this moment. I have a way to deal with the purple pearl. Li Xia looked at her with admiration. Sister Shang is so amazing. Shang Ruai smiled and said nothing. The old man was so excited that he couldn't help but say, God bless the Li family. In the evening, Shang Ruai came to the auction house. Li Xia originally asked her to sit with her. Most people came for the purple pearl in this auction, so Li Xia naturally sat in the most distinguished room. Sister Shang, just sit with me, and let the people below see that our Li family is not without people at home. Shang Ruai smiled and pulled her arm back. You don't even look at what I'm wearing today. When the time comes, others will say that you are eating what's in the bowl, and you are entangled with other men outside before you get married. Li Xia heard this and looked around. She saw that people were really looking at her with complicated eyes as she said. She quickly pulled back her hand from Shang Ruai and patted her chest with lingering fear. At this moment, a man with a somewhat handsome appearance walked over quickly.
Li Xia.
Li Xia stopped when she heard this voice, and a trace of disgust flashed in her eyes. Young Master Zhang. It turned out that he was the young master of the Zhang family who was engaged to Li Xia. Zhang he walked forward aggressively and said in a cold voice, In broad daylight, you are here to tug at war with a man. How can it be so disgraceful? It is really disgraceful. You are indeed the daughter of a merchant, and you are not worthy of being in public. Li Xia blushed when she heard that, and hurriedly explained, It's not like that. Then what is it? Zhang he said angrily, You are not a faithful wife before you even get married, and now I have caught you cheating on me, and you still want to deny it? What a pair of adulterers. He was about to reach out to grab her, but his wrist was tightly clamped by a strong big hand. Ah Chung grabbed his wrist expressionlessly, and with a little force, Zhang He's cry of pain resounded throughout the auction hall. It hurts, it hurts. Shang Ruai sneered. I forgot to introduce myself. I am Xia Xia's cousin. Not the adulterous couple you said. You keep saying that it is disgraceful and that the daughter of a merchant is not presentable. What about you? You keep swearing. I think you are the one who is disgraceful. You. How dare you talk to me like that? I tell you, I am a scholar. Shang Ruai couldn't help but sneered when she heard it. Scholar? Are scholars rare? Looking at your posture, I thought you were the top scholar. As soon as she finished speaking, she heard laughter all around. People have said that we are cousins, so Mr. Zhang, don't be so unreasonable. That's right, besides, you're just a scholar and my son is a geneshir, but he is not as arrogant as you today. Everyone was talking, and Zhang he felt a little embarrassed, but thinking about what he came here for today, he had to stay. Do you have anything else to say? Li Xia was a little impatient. Of course I have something to tell you. He whispered, I heard that the pearl of the horse to be auctioned today belongs to your Li family? Li Xia nodded. So what? Zhang he hurriedly said, Go and inform the shopkeeper here. Tell her that the pearl will not be auctioned. After he finished speaking, Li Xia was stunned. Not auctioning? You mean? My mother said that if the daughter of your Li family marries into our family, it would be considered marrying up, and she must have some decent dowry. He smiled and said, My mother said that the purple oriental pearl can be counted as one of the dowry. Shang Ruai almost laughed out loud when she heard this. Your Zhang family is just a poor family, and we are lucky to have a scholar like you, but in my opinion, this is where we end. You! How dare you curse me? Zhang he said angrily. A merchant, no matter how much silver he has, is still a lowly person. His voice was loud, and the whole venue could hear it clearly. Before everyone could come to their senses, a crisp slap was heard, and Zhang He, a big man, was directly thrown to the ground by her. Shang Ruai said angrily, You keep saying things that are insulting to society. You only have a few drops of ink in your head. Why are you pretending to be a scholar here? Do you need me to tell you about the dirty things you have done in front of everyone? Before Zhang he could refuse, Shang Ruai said coldly, Before the legal wife came into the house, many concubines have been brought into the backyard. One of them even gave birth to a child. Do you dare to tell others about this? Now you have set your sights on the purple oriental pearl. You don't even consider your own worth. Don't you think you are a person without blessings? Shang Ruai's words made the people watching the excitement look at Zhang He with a little contempt. They never expected that Zhang He, who looked serious and like a scholar, would actually do such a thing. TSK. It's true that you can't judge a person by his appearance, and he's a scholar. If we report him to their academy, with such behavior, his title of scholar will definitely be stripped away. That is to say, I remember that his mother looked at girls from many families and finally chose the one from the Li family. I thought the son would be so outstanding, but I didn't expect him to be a useless piece of mud. Everyone was talking at once, and Zhang he wished he could find a hole in the ground to crawl into. You guys. Zhang he pointed at Shang Ruoi and Li Xia and said, Believe it or not, I will cancel this marriage with your Li family when I go back. In Bailing, most women whose engagements are broken off will not have a good result, so even if they marry into a den of tigers and wolves, they can only endure it. Zhang he thought he could use this to control her, but who would have thought that Li Xia didn't show any sign of submission? Shang Ruai stepped forward and said in a cold voice, Don't worry. Our Li family has wanted to cancel the engagement with you for a long time. I think it would be worse to live with a person like you who is worse than pigs and dogs than to become a nun. What's more, you think that you can't get married, so we forced you to be our daughter, right? You are an outsider. What qualifications do you have to decide my marriage with her? Zhang he was a little flustered when he heard her say that. After all, he still needed to use the dowry of the Li family to supplement the expenses of his family. Hearing this, Li Xia said in a deep voice, When my father arranged this marriage for me, he had no idea that you had taken so many concubines. When I report to my grandfather, I will have other explanations for the marriage between you and me." After saying that, Li Xiaxia turned and left. Li He wanted to chase him, but Ah Chung blocked him. Zhang Ruai sneered and said, "Get out of here quickly." Zhang He looked around and saw that everyone looked at him with a little disdain. He turned and left in anger. Zhang Ruai came to the room she had booked long ago. Although Li Xiaxia had made it clear that she was related to her in front of everyone, she was now dressed as a man and a woman were alone in the same room, which would always give people a reason to criticize her. Not long after, the charming shopkeeper Xiao came on stage. "Everyone, welcome to our auction house." Her red lips curled slightly, her eyes moved, and the souls of the men in the audience were almost hooked away. Zhang Ruai was in the room on the third floor, looking at Xiao Xiao on the stage, and she said twice, "She is really graceful." Which man would not be moved by such a woman? Ah Chung heard the words, and his eyes quickly swept over Xiaoyao. Seeing that she kept nodding, he hurriedly said, "Miss, I don't like women like Manager Xiao."
Oh.
Zhang Ruai smiled. "Then tell me, what kind of women do you like?"
Your subordinate I like.
His dark face was a little red, and Zhang Ruai joked, "It seems that Ah Chung has a favorite woman." Ah Chung didn't speak, and his head hung even lower. Zhang Ruai narrowed her eyes slightly. Ah Chung, this bad boy, usually rushed to fight first, but when it comes to love, he can't kick a. "Peony, you are old enough to get married. I think Yunqi and Yuntian, who are beside He Jingheng, are both good and trustworthy. Do you like them?" Zhang Ruai rested her chin on her hand, her eyes full of smiles. "I think Yunqi is good, with great martial arts and steady work. When you get married, I will definitely prepare a generous dowry for you." Peony's face flushed slightly, and she lowered her head to look at Ah Chung beside her. Ah Chung looked a little anxious, with his hands clenched tightly in his fists. After a while, he raised his head and looked at Zhang Ruai firmly. "Miss, I do have a girl I like."
Oh.
"Really?
Tell me about it."
A triumphant smile flashed in Zhang Ruai's eyes. "If you also have someone you like, I will fulfill your wish." Your subordinate likes Miss Peony." Peony, who was standing beside him, blushed completely when she heard the words.
Oh.
"But what can I do? I was thinking of marrying her to Yunqi." Upon hearing this, Xiaoyao hurriedly said, "Miss, I don't want to marry Yunqi." "Then are you willing to marry you to Ah Chung?" Xiaoyao pursed her lips and nodded embarrassedly. "Yes." Zhang Ruai sighed, shook her head and said, "It's just a layer of window paper. Since the man has feelings and the concubine has intentions, why not take a step forward? If I, your lady, am an unromantic person and casually arrange your marriage, wouldn't it be a waste of life?" The two of them couldn't help but be shocked when they heard this. At this time, the auction on the stage had begun. The maid held a tray in her hand, on which was placed a jade hairpin. This jade hairpin is emerald green, warm to the touch, and in excellent condition. The starting price is 80 taels. She picked up the jade hairpin and said, "If any young lady can receive such a beautiful hairpin, she will be very happy." As soon as she finished speaking, the men in the audience began to raise the price. 100 taels, 150 taels, 200 taels, 300 taels. The price of 300 taels has far exceeded the value of the hairpin itself, but the bidding is still going on. Zhang Ruai watched this scene in the room and couldn't help shaking her head and sighing. All crows are black, but this shopkeeper Xiao is really capable. In the end, the hairpin was sold for 500 taels of silver. The middle-aged man who won the bid took the hairpin in his hand with a warm look in his eyes, and he didn't feel that he was at a disadvantage for buying it at a high price. The next items that were brought up were a few ancient paintings from the previous dynasties. Zhang Ruai was not interested in them. She just watched coldly as the people below the stage kept raising the prices. Some of the bids were not enthusiastic, but shopkeeper Xiao could mobilize the already calm people again with just a few words. Each item was far more valuable than its own value. Zhang Ruai smiled and said, "This shopkeeper Xiao is really a talent." 1,000 taels. A familiar voice sounded. Zhang Ruoyi raised her eyebrows slightly, and her eyes fell on the room upstairs where the voice came from. If she remembered correctly, this voice should be the maid who poured milk tea on Li Xiaxia. Zhang Ruoyi looked at the item being auctioned on the stage at this time. It was a jewelry box made of jade. The quality was not bad. The broken hairpin just now was sold for 500 taels. Now that this box is so much bigger, 1,000 taels is really not expensive. However, using so much silver to buy such an item may be a bad idea. At this moment, Li Xiaxia's voice came out. 1,500 taels. Zhang Ruoyi almost choked on the tea in her mouth. Well, she took it back. At this moment, a gentle female voice came out. 2,000 taels. 2,500 taels. 3,000 taels. Zhang Ruoyi couldn't help laughing. It seemed that the hatred between Li Xiaxia and this woman named Zhang Ruru was not shallow. Li Xiaxia walked out and looked at Zhang Ruru's room with anger in her eyes. Zhang Ruru, are you going to fight with me? As soon as she finished speaking, the door opposite opened, and a woman in a white robe walked out. Zhang Ruru said in a weak voice, as if she was bullied. Xiaxia, what are you talking about? You like this box, and so do I. Isn't the so-called auction for the highest bidder to win? I just raised the price. Why are you arguing with me? Xiaxia, normally I never argue with you about what you like, but this thing, I want to give it to a very important person. I absolutely cannot give it to you. You. Zhang Ruru's appearance aroused the protective desire of everyone at the auction. They cast disapproving glances at Li Xiaxia, and some even whispered about it. I didn't expect that the young lady of the Li family would have such a fierce temper. Look at how young lady of the Zhang family has been bullied. Young lady Zhang's appearance is heartbreaking. Yeah, she is like this in front of so many people. You can imagine how she bullies people in private. At this moment, Xiaoling, the maid beside Zhang Ruru, came out and said, Miss Li, she is tolerant of you on weekdays. She will give you anything you like, even if she is reluctant. But you can't bully my young lady just because she is easy to talk to. Li Xiaxia instantly became the target of public criticism. Facing everyone's doubts and accusations, she was just a little girl. How could she bear it? Seeing this, Zhang Ruoyi sighed, cleared her throat, and said lightly, I wonder if Miss Zhang has compensated Xiaxia for the clothes? Clothes and money? Zhang Ruru was stunned for a moment, and Xiaoling beside her heard the words. Her face suddenly changed. That's right. Before New Year's Day, your maid poured a whole cup of boiling milk tea on Xiaxia. Xiaxia, let her go without pursuing the matter. Didn't your maid tell you about this? Zhang Ruoyi said in a cold voice. Miss Zhang's maid must be severely punished. Upon hearing this, Zhang Ruru looked at Xiaoling behind her, her voice soft but sharp. Xiaoling, is what that young master said true? Upon hearing this, Xiaoling said tremblingly, Miss, I didn't. Upon hearing this, Zhang Ruoyi sneered. You were speaking righteously here just now, and this young master thought you were so upright, but I didn't expect you to be a liar. Do you think the news of Tianshan will not spread here? If you don't admit it, you can find the owner of the milk tea shop to confront you in the future. Do you dare? Upon hearing this, Xiaoling knelt on the ground with a thump. Miss, I was just careless, I didn't mean it. Xiaoling couldn't stop shaking. She knew her mistress's methods very well. Now she made her lose face in front of everyone. When she returned to the mansion, the mistress would definitely punish her severely. The Zhang family's young lady should regulate the words and deeds of her servants. After all, the master will raise the servants. If you don't know, you might think she learned this from Miss Zhang. After Zhang Ruoyi finished speaking, everyone in the room looked at Zhang Ruru with suspicion. Li Xiaxia's complexion finally improved, and she secretly felt lucky that Sister Zhang was here. Otherwise, she would definitely become the laughingstock of the entire Bailing today. Zhang Ruru hated secretly in her heart, but she didn't dare to show it on her face. After all, in the capital of Bailing, everyone knew that the legitimate young lady of the Zhang family was very kind and delicate. Even though she was full of anger, she had to continue pretending. Besides, there was a distinguished guest in the room at this time. If she made her angry, she would be in trouble. I didn't expect that my maid would make such a big mistake. It's my fault for not disciplining her well. I apologize to Xia Xia here. Her eyes fell on Zhang Ruo's room, and she smiled and said, Xia Xia is really lucky. She just despised Master Zhang, and now she has a handsome cousin to protect her. What she meant was that there was some inappropriate relationship between Li Xia Xia and Zhang Ruo. Li Xia Xia said angrily, What does this have to do with you? Didn't you always want to marry Zhang He? You blamed me for blocking your marriage before, but now I will break off the engagement with him when I go back. If you don't mind, just marry him. After that, she turned around and went back to the room, never looking at her again. Zhang Ruru was defeated again, and the expression on her face was almost out of control. She clenched her hands tightly around the railing and left in a huff. Shopkeeper Xiao saw this and said with a smile, Miss Li, Miss Zhang just raised the price to 3,000 taels. Do you want to continue? Hearing this, Li Xia Xia shouted, For 1,000 taels. Zhang Ruru in the room turned pale, looked at the woman lying on the couch behind her with a veiled look, and hurriedly said, 6,000 taels. Hiss. 6,000 taels. Just buying such a jade box is really too expensive. It's simply a big sucker. After calling out this price, Zhang Ruru was shocked. That was 6,000 taels, and she bought so many boxes. Just now, she was overwhelmed by Li Xia Xia and actually called out the price of 6,000 taels. She thought to herself, as long as Li Xia Xia raised it once, she would not follow suit again, and let her take out 6,000 taels to be the big sucker. Seeing this, Li Xia Xia said without thinking, Since Miss Zhang is so determined to get it, then I won't take it away from others. She looked at Zhang Ruru and said, I'll give it to you this time.
What?
No more? Then wouldn't this hot potato fall into her hands? If her father knew that she spent 6,000 taels to buy such a, he would probably kick her out of the Zhang family. She wanted to say that she just said it nonsense, but now there are so many eyes watching. If she does this, wouldn't it be a loss of face? Her father would punish her. Seeing the maid bringing the box up, she had to bite the bullet and hand over the banknote. Zhang Ruru brought the box to the half-lying woman. Take a look. Do you like it? The woman raised her eyelids slightly, glanced at it, and said, It looks okay. Just leave it there for now. Zhang Ruru heard this and was delighted. As long as the noble likes it, the silver is worth it. Even if her father knew, he would not blame her severely. The next few items did not sell for such high prices. At this moment, Zhang Ruo's eyes fell on the tray in the hands of the maid on the stage. This is Tianxing grass. This is an extremely precious herb. Even the purple ginseng cannot compare to it. The woman in Zhang Ruru's room was also attracted. She sat up, wearing a red fox cloak, and stared at the Tianxing grass. No matter what, I must bid for this herb. Dear guests, Tianxing grass is more than 100 years old. Although it has dried up, its medicinal properties have not been affected. It is extremely precious. The starting price is 2,000 taels. 2,000 taels? Just to buy a dry grass? Most people here don't know the preciousness of Tianxing grass. You can start bidding. As soon as shopkeeper Xiao finished speaking, Zhang Ruru's voice came. 3,000 taels. What? 3,000 taels? Such a high price for this broken grass? People who know the price of this herb, such as Zhang Ruo, smiled. What's 3,000 taels? This Tianxing grass is also called a magical grass. It can bring the dead back to life and turn bones into flesh. If a doctor could have one of these herbs, he would be happier than earning tens of thousands of taels of silver. But what did Zhang Ruru want her for? She whispered, for 1,000 taels. 5,000 taels. 6,000 taels. Zhang Ruru's face was livid and she whispered, Is that person going to fight with us? He wants to get involved in everything. Her tone was slightly lowered. 8,000 taels. 10,000 taels. Zhang Ruo said, without hesitation. Zhang Ruru wanted to raise the price, but the half-lying woman sat up straight, her eyes full of pride, and she said coldly, This unpresentable thing dares to things from this princess. I think she is tired of living. She looked into the distance, and a familiar figure came into her sight. It was her? She was still alive? She had given such a strong poison but failed to kill her. How could this be possible? This person is none other than the adopted daughter of the king of the western regions, Princess Luoyun. Princess, the person who robbed you of the herbs is the cousin of Li Xiaxia from the Li family. The Li family is domineering in Bailing because of their wealth and power. I am used to being bullied by Li Xiaxia, but now they don't even take the princess seriously.
They really deserve to die.
Princess Luoyun glanced at her and sneered. You don't have to use those tricks of making trouble and sowing discord on me. I have seen a lot of such petty tricks. She raised her arm slightly, and the maid beside her hurriedly stepped forward to help her up. If it weren't for the friendship between your Zhang family and my father, I would never have gone to your small family mansion when I came to Bailing this time. The western region is stronger than Bailing. In recent years, Bailing has always been humble to the western region. As the most powerful prince in the western region, the adopted daughter of the king of the city will naturally be treated as a guest of honor by the daughter of the Bailing official. Hearing her say this, how could Zhang Ruru dare to refute? She hurriedly flattered. The princess is right. It is an honor for me to serve you. Luo Yun stood up, looked at the room opposite, and said coldly, 20,000 taels. Hiss. 20,000 taels. A herb can be sold at such a high price. Could it be a magical herb? Can it bring the dead back to life? When Shang Ruai heard this voice, her pupils shrank slightly. Isn't this the adopted daughter of the king of the city? Thinking that she poisoned herself halfway and now came to the Tianqing grass, she must be very proficient in medicine or poison. But this Tianqing grass, I will definitely not give it to you. What I lack the least at the moment is silver. 40,000 taels. 50,000 taels. 70,000 taels. Shang Ruai played with the teacup on the table and said nonchalantly, I must get this herb. No matter how much money the lady offers, I will not give it up. When Luo Yun heard this, she slammed her jade hand on the table next to her. Untouchable. How dare you things from this princess? You are really tired of living. At this time, the maid beside her whispered, Princess, if you continue to raise the price, we will not have enough money to bid for the Dongzhu. She came out this time mainly for the purple Dongzhu. Soon it would be the birthday of the king of the city, and she wanted to give the Dongzhu as a gift to her father. This princess knows, and you don't need to remind me. She glared at Shang Ruai's room hatefully. She was wearing a half-golden mask on her face, so she couldn't see her true face, but the lazy look under the mask made her unable to hold back her anger. She wanted to continue bidding, but her remaining rationality told her not to. After all, the most important thing at the moment was her father's Dongzhu. She waved her hand, and the maid beside her came out, raised her chin, and said, Our Lady said, it's just a broken grass. Since you like it, just take it. Xiaoyao heard this and snorted coldly. If you don't have enough silver, just say it directly. Why are you pretending to be noble here? Her voice was not low, and everyone present couldn't help laughing when they heard it. What this little girl said is very true. What do you mean by giving it to them? Isn't it because you don't have silver? If I were her, I wouldn't continue to add silver. It's just a herb, not a fairy grass. How can it be worth 70,000 taels? Can eating it make you immortal? Maybe it really can make you immortal, otherwise are they crazy? Tianqing grass cannot make you immortal, but Tianqing grass can protect the heart meridian and save a life when life is in danger. Moreover, this Tianqing grass is old and has a stronger medicinal effect. The discussion outside made Luo Yun's face pale in the room, and she clenched her fists tightly. Untouchables. A bunch of untouchables. Tianqing grass was taken by Shang Ruai. She didn't care much about the subsequent auctions. She supported her head with her hands and felt a little drowsy. Finally, it was the last auction item. The purple oriental pearl that everyone was looking forward to. When this oriental pearl was brought up, everyone's eyes lit up. The atmosphere in the venue instantly boiled. Oh my God! There really is such a beautiful oriental pearl. Today is really a feast for the eyes. In the room, Zhang Ruru looked at the stage obsessively. She didn't have so much money to bid for this oriental pearl, but Princess Luo Yun did. If she could take a closer look, she could also bring it out and talk about it when the noble ladies of the capital gathered in the future. Luo Yun also saw the purple oriental pearl for the first time. There were several oriental pearls in her makeup drawer, but none of them could compare to this one. No matter what, she would take this purple oriental pearl into her pocket today. I guess you all came here for this oriental pearl. Shopkeeper Xiao said with a smile. I won't keep you in suspense. The starting price is 30,000 taels. The highest bidder wins. As soon as she finished speaking, the crowd began to raise the price. 35,000 taels. 37,000 taels. 40,000 taels. 50,000 taels. 70,000 taels. Soon the price exceeded the transaction price of Tianqin grass. But the auction did not stop, and the price continued to go up. 90,000 taels. At this time, the guests upstairs also participated in the bidding. Most of the guests upstairs were business families, and their background was not comparable to that of ordinary people. 100,000 taels. Luo Yun said lightly. 100 and... But the auction did not stop, and the price continued to go up. 90,000 taels. At this time, the guests upstairs also participated in the bidding. Most of the guests upstairs were business families, and their background was not comparable to that of ordinary people. 100,000 taels. Luo Yun whispered. I didn't expect him to haunt Bailing. She took the veil from the maid and put it on, then walked out of the room. Her eyes swept through everyone with contempt, and finally fell on the man. She raised her chin slightly and said coldly, Nan Charan. Is it really Princess Luo Yun? You want this Dongzhu? He smiled. That's right. Her voice was cold, with undisguised contempt in her eyes. Do you want it from this princess? It can't be said to be snatching. This is an auction. The highest bidder wins. How can it be said to be snatching? This is a bit too harsh. He kept smiling, but there was no warmth in his eyes. Then we will each rely on our own abilities. She turned around and walked straight into the room, but her voice came out. You are Justa of the Northern Prince's mansion, and you want it from this princess. You are overestimating yourself. Nan Charan shrugged and turned back to the room. At this time, there was another man sitting in the room. He was the brother of Princess Luo Yun, the prince of the city palace, Jun Ziqian. I say, your sister, do you have eyes on the top of her head? When she sees me, she either rolls her eyes or raises her chin. Jun Ziqian frowned slightly. Shut your mouth. Okay, your precious sister, I won't say anything. Nan Charan sneered. Why haven't I seen you defend her on weekdays? Now I can't even say a word. Jun Zigan glanced at him. I don't have a sister. It turned out that he was not forbidden to talk about her, but he was not allowed to say that Jun Luoyan was his sister. Nan Charan smacked his lips. She said outside that you dote on her very much. Jun Zigan said in a cold voice. What does that have to do with me? Okay, it has nothing to do with you, it has nothing to do with you. You don't even have a sister. Nan Charan smiled and said, but the brother who just snatched the herbs from her is quite interesting. Your sister. After receiving Jun Zigan's cold look, he quickly changed his words. Jun Luoyan likes to study medicine on weekdays. That brother must be a doctor. Do you want him to take a look at your leg? The guard standing next to Jun Zigan said with a smile. Second young master. Not everyone is qualified to treat my son. Jun Zigan said nothing. His eyes fell on Shang Ruai's face downstairs. Could the young master, wearing a mask, be the famous Lingjun genius doctor in the world? Feeling an inquiring gaze, Shang Ruai smiled slightly, raised her eyelids slightly, and her eyes fell on Jun Zigan.
Ha!
Jun Zigan said lightly. He didn't expect that his perception was so sharp. At this time, the bidding on the stage was extremely fierce, and the price had been raised to 150,000 taels, which was far beyond Li Xia's expectations. 17,000 taels. Jun Luoyun's voice lacked confidence. She only had 200,000 taels of silver at her disposal. She originally thought that the pearl would be worth at most 100,000 taels, but she didn't expect it to be far beyond her budget. If she added that up, she was afraid that she would not be able to get the Oriental pearl. Nan Charan heard her embarrassment and said to Jun Zigan with a smile in his eyes, Since you don't care about this adopted daughter, then I will take this Dongju as your chance. Jun Zigan continued to drink tea without even a frown on his face. 180,000 taels. Jun Luoyun clenched his fists and slammed the table hard, his eyes full of anger. This lowly, knowing that I want this pearl, he still insisted on interfering. When I go back to report to my father, I will break this S legs. Princess, calm down, Zhang Ruru said tremblingly. He is just a... Why bother with him, princess? You can complain to the prince. He loves you so much. He will definitely help you vent your anger. Speaking of Jun Zigan, Jun Luoyun felt even more guilty. She told others how much Jun Zigan doted on her, but in fact, for so many years, he had never even opened his eyes to look at her in the mansion. Of course. She set her eyes on Nan Charan. He was the only one bidding against her now. 200,000 taels. She raised the price by 20,000 taels at once, just to let Nan Charan know her determination to win. Besides, where could he, get so much money? Her father doted on her so much, and she had scraped together the 200,000 taels. Charan couldn't help laughing when he heard this. This adopted daughter of yours is really something. She even knows how to play tricks on others. But this Dongju is of great use to me. Even if she offers 300,000 taels, I will buy it, he said to shopkeeper Xiao downstairs. 220,000 taels. Jun Luoyun's eyes were red, and the handkerchief in his hand had been torn to pieces. He was suppressed by a... If this news was sent back to the western regions, who knows how she would be ridiculed by others. She walked out of the room and said to Nan Charan, who was leaning on the railing, Nan Charan, this oriental pearl is extremely important to me. I wonder if you can give it up?
Why?
Nan Charan didn't wait for her to say more and continued. You are useful. Do you think I will spend so much money to buy it just for it to gather dust? You're a man. Why do you buy it? My mother likes it. Jun Luoyun heard this and couldn't help but get angry. Your mother is just a concubine. So, what about a concubine? A sneer flashed across Nan Charan's face. My mother's maternal family is a prosperous merchant family in the western regions after all. What about you? What about your mother's maternal family? Jun Luoyun's face turned pale in an instant. The fact that she was the adopted daughter of the king of the city was known throughout the country. She hated others mentioning her life experience the most. Now she was ridiculed by it in front of everyone. Where would she put her face? How dare you? Do you believe that I will let my father and brother punish you for your disrespect? As soon as she finished speaking, she heard Nan Charan sneer. My lady princess, don't forget, this is... She hated others mentioning her life experience the most. Now she was ridiculed by it in front of everyone. Where would she put her face? How dare you? Do you believe that I will let my father and brother punish you for your disrespect? As soon as she finished speaking, she heard Nan Charan was actually with his brother. He must be aware of his position in the palace. If it weren't for my face, I wouldn't know where to beg for food now. She didn't know how she managed to get back to the room. She just felt her legs go weak, and she had no strength left in her body. Seeing her like this, Zhang Ruru rushed forward. Princess, what's wrong with you? Seeing her, Jun Luoyun slapped Zhang Ruru's head and knocked it to the side. Get out. How dare you, a lowly person, laugh at me? Zhang Ruru stepped aside aggrievedly, rubbing half of her face, lowering her head and not daring to speak, but she had already rolled her eyes in her heart. An adopted daughter, not a biological daughter, to put it bluntly, was just a fake princess. What was there to be so arrogant about? If she is disliked by the prince and the crown prince one day, she will be in trouble. Finally, the oriental pearl was taken by Nan Charan. When he got the oriental pearl, his eyes lit up. I was amazed when I saw it from afar, but I didn't expect it to be even more beautiful up close. He took out a stack of banknotes and handed it to shopkeeper Xiao, who had come to deliver the Dongju in person. I haven't seen you for a long time, shopkeeper Xiao. You are still as beautiful as ever. You're too kind, sir. She handed over the Dongju, and her eyes fell on Jun Zigan, who was standing behind him with narrowed eyes. This was the first time she had seen this man. He had a strong aura, and it was obvious at first glance that he was no ordinary person. After the auction, Shang Ruoi did not go back to the Li family with Li Xia. She was going to discuss a business deal with manager Xiao of the auction house. Boss, a young man is looking for you. Xiao frowned. There were endless young men coming here to show their courtesy every day, and she was too lazy to pay attention to them.
No.
Upon hearing this, the servant hurriedly said, "But the young man said, he has a business to discuss with you." Xiao turned around and glared at him. "Can you please stop breathing heavily when you speak? Since there is business coming, why are you still standing here? Why don't you invite the distinguished guest in?" Shang Ruoi heard the conversation in the room clearly from a distance, and the corners of her lips raised slightly. When Xiao saw that it was her, she wanted to slap the boy in the face.
Who is she?
That's the Li family. Isn't it all thanks to the Li family's purple oriental pearls that today's auction can be so grand? In the future, she will have to rely a lot on cooperation with the Li family. If she is really driven away, wouldn't it be like shutting out the god of wealth? Thinking of this, she glared at the boy again. Shang Ruoi walked in and said with a smile, "It seems that it is not easy to meet Manager Xiao." "What are you talking about, sir?" She glared at the servant. "What are you still standing here for? Why don't you go and make a pot of the new tea I made a few days ago?" Her eyes fell on Shang Ruoi and on the jade pendant on her waist. That was first-class warm jade, and the jade auction today was not of the same grade at all. "Sir, what business do you want to discuss with me today?" Shang Ruoi took out a porcelain bottle and handed it to her. "Pills?"
Yes.
Shopkeeper Xiao looked a little embarrassed. "Sir, it's not that I don't want to help you. It's mainly because these pills are sold everywhere. Our auction house only sells rare things. Even if this pill is auctioned, it won't sell for much. Why would ordinary pills be sent to you?" Shang Ruoi poured out the pills. "If I say this is a pill that can prolong life or even save lives in times of crisis, what do you think, Shopkeeper Xiao? Prolong life? Bring the dead back to life?" Shopkeeper Xiao's eyes lit up, and the next moment, the light in his eyes dimmed again. There have been some quacks who brought pills and said they could bring the dead back to life, but they were all liars without exception. How could there be a way to bring the dead back to life in this world? Shang Ruoi shook her head. Resurrection is a bit exaggerated, but it is true that it can prolong life and save lives at critical moments. "Sir, it's not that Xiao is unwilling to help you. You should take this pill back. If you have other items for auction, I am very willing to help." She knew that the panacea was just a gimmick. Shang Ruoi smiled when she heard it. "Since Shopkeeper Xiao is unwilling to cooperate, I will leave first." At this time, there was a thump outside the door, and a figure fell to the ground.
Miss.
A maid shouted loudly. "Come here." "My lady fainted." Xiao hurried out. It turned out to be the lady of the Lin family. In Bailing, the Lin family is an extremely prosperous family. The queens or concubines of all dynasties came from the Lin family. The lady who fainted now is the legitimate daughter of the Lin family and has been designated as the concubine of the 8th prince. The daughter of the Lin family has always been weak. If she had fought back, she would have been betrothed to the crown prince. Although the 8th prince was not favored, he was still a prince. If something happened to the princess at the auction house, it would not take long for the auction house to close down. "Hurry up and call a doctor." Just when Shopkeeper Xiao was getting anxious, Shang Ruoi came forward. "I know a little about medicine. Why don't I take a look at this girl?" At the moment, there seemed to be no other choice except her. "But my girl is already married. How can I let a man treat her?" The maid of the Lin family said with some embarrassment. "You choose to see a doctor or to risk her life." Shang Ruoi said lightly. "Your lady looks like she has a heart attack. If she can't be treated in time, she may not survive for more than an hour."
What?
How dare the maid delay after hearing this? If something really happened to the lady, none of them would survive. "Then I'll trouble you, sir." Shang Ruoi took out a silver needle. In Bailing, acupuncture was not popular, and many people didn't know what the silver needle was used for. Seeing her take out such a long needle, they were all shocked. "Oh my God, what is this needle used for?" Is it used to treat diseases? Using such a long needle to treat diseases? Is it a cure or a life-threatening one? The maid hurriedly stopped her when she saw this. Sir, what are you doing? Acupuncture. Acupuncture? She looked at the thin and long needle with a trace of fear in her eyes. Our young lady is precious. How can you treat her with such a cruel method? Are you going to save your young lady? Shang Ruoyi's eyes were already showing impatience. If you stop me again, if something happens to your young lady, don't blame me for not treating her. The maid heard this, although there was doubt in her eyes, but she still let go of her hand. After all, there was no other choice now. Shang Ruoyi placed a few needles on the acupuncture points, and her face, which had been a little purple, slowly returned to normal. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but exclaimed, "A miracle doctor! He is really a miracle doctor!" Yes. After a few injections, her complexion has recovered. You know, this girl from the Lin family is weak, and so many miracle doctors have failed to cure her. Now she has been cured by such a young girl. How can it be as easy as you say? A woman said, the complexion has recovered, but it doesn't mean that the disease is cured. Besides, how old is this doctor? It's a bit exaggerated to say that he is a miracle doctor. That's right. It's still unknown whether he can cure her. Let's wait and see. Shang Ruoyi took her pulse and found that the girl from the Lin family's heart disease was extremely serious. If it can't be cured completely, even if she is saved this time, she will not live for more than a year. She took out a pill and was about to put it in her mouth when the maid of the Lin family stopped her. Sir, what is this pill? I made it myself, and it can cure your daughter's heart disease. Hearing that it was made by her, the maid hurriedly said, My daughter never eats things of unknown origin. Unknown origin? As soon as Shang Ruoyi finished speaking, an old man ran in with a medicine box on his back. Where is Miss Lin? Hearing the old man's voice, the maid's eyes lit up. Dr. Liu. The maid stepped forward and hurriedly said, We've been waiting for you. Dr. Liu stepped forward, looked at the silver needles on her body, frowned. Who did this? Isn't this nonsense? As soon as he finished speaking, he took the silver needles from her hand and threw them aside. Quack, quack. This is not treating the disease. This is simply nonsense. Seeing what Dr. Liu did, everyone looked at Shang Ruoyi with some suspicion. Look, what did I say? How could she be a doctor at such a young age? She's called a miracle doctor? In my opinion, she's just a charlatan. That silver needle looks scary. TSK. I can't imagine how painful it would be to be pricked by that silver needle. Upon hearing this, the maid walked up to Shang Ruoyi angrily. Sir, do you think our Lin family is easy to bully? How dare you hurt my girl? Do you know who my Lin family is in Bailing? My girl is the 8th prince's consort appointed by the emperor. If my girl is fine, it's fine. If there is any accident, your life will not be enough to compensate. You. Ah Chung frowned, put his hand on the hilt of the knife at his side, and was about to step forward. Shang Ruoyi waved her hand lightly with a sneer on her face. How do you know there is something wrong with my treatment? Dr. Liu has said so. How can you argue? Do you know who Dr. Liu is? Dr. Liu has treated countless dignitaries in Bailing. My young lady's body has been taken care of by Dr. Liu since she was born. Shang Ruoyi heard this, and the sneer on her face became even more intense. No wonder, she snorted coldly. I was wondering why your young lady's body is so bad. It turns out that it was caused by a quack doctor. Xiaorao behind her couldn't help laughing when she heard this. Her young lady really has a grudge to take. Just now, that Dr. Liu called her a quack doctor, but now she has returned it intact. At this moment, someone in the crowd suddenly shouted, Look! Miss Lin's face has turned blue again. Dr. Liu was so busy that he was exhausted. She was fine just now. How could she suddenly become like this? He felt the pulse again and couldn't help but exclaimed, The pulse is weak, a sign of dying.
What?
It wasn't so serious just now. How could it become a sign of dying directly after Dr. Liu's treatment? A sign of impending death? The maid stuttered. Dr. Liu, did you take the pulse wrong? Take another look. Dr. Liu shook his head. That's right, your young lady. He didn't continue, but everyone could see clearly that this young lady of a Lin family was probably not going to make it. At this moment, Dr. Liu saw Shang Ruai, and a trace of calculation flashed in his eyes. This young lady of the Lin family is the future consort of the 8th prince. If she died like this, if the 8th prince were to investigate, his life would be in danger. But isn't there a ready-made scapegoat now? All the blame can be put on her. He sighed. If others hadn't treated her recklessly, I would still have a way to treat her. Now, your young lady, I am powerless to save her. When the maid heard this, she directed the servants behind her and said, "Why don't you catch this liar quickly?" The next moment, 4 or 5 servants surrounded Shang Ruoi and the other 2. Shopkeeper Xiao was shocked when he saw this. This young man was a member of the Li family. She was counting on the Li family's Dongzhu. She must not let anything happen in her own little piece of land. Shopkeeper Xiao hurried forward. "Miss Lian Xiao, is there a misunderstanding here?" "Misunderstanding?" She snorted coldly. "Are you deaf? Didn't you hear what Dr. Liu said?" The maid named Lian Xiao spoke without mercy. "Catch her, bring her to the master and the 8th prince, and bury our young lady with her." Shang Ruai sneered when she heard this. "What qualifications do you have to convict me? Still want to quibble?" Dr. Liu said that if it weren't for you, my young lady wouldn't have died. "Who said your young lady is dead?" Shang Ruai walked past her and walked up to Miss Lin. The bruises on her face were even more serious than before, but she was still alive. She took out a few silver needles again. Dr. Liu said hurriedly, "I have been practicing medicine for decades, and I have never seen your method of treatment. You are clearly taking human life lightly. You have never seen it before, which means you are short-sighted. Do you think you are great just by treating a few patients?" She inserted the needles again. After a while, the bruises on Miss Lin's face faded again, and her originally rapid breathing gradually stabilized. In this way, no one dared to comment casually anymore. Dr. Liu thought he was dazzled. This person was clearly dying just now. How did he recover again? Could it be that the silver needles can really cure diseases? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look livid. Thinking back to what he had just said and done, he now looked like a clown. Miss Lin has a heart disease. People say that heart disease is difficult to cure, but in fact, as long as the medicine is used carefully, heart disease can be cured. She gently turned the silver needle, and the place where it was pierced turned black. She pulled out the silver needle suddenly, and saw black blood slowly flowing out from the needle hole. After repeating it for more than 10 times, finally, the blood flowing out was bright red, and she stopped. She took out the pills again. At this time, Lian Xiao did not dare to stop her. After all, if it were not for her, her young lady would have died now. Shang Ruai took the pills with Lingquan water, but after a long time, Miss Lin did not react at all. This genius doctor. Why hasn't my young lady woken up for so long? Shang Ruai glanced at her. I am a doctor, not a god, and my pills are not elixirs. You will be cured after taking them. At this moment, Miss Lin's eyelids fluttered slightly. She exhaled a breath of turbid air and woke up slowly. Miss, you are awake. You finally woke up. Tears flashed in Lian Xiao's eyes. After helping Miss Lin up, she turned around and walked to Shang Ruai and knelt down in front of her with a thump. I just bumped into you. Please forgive me, Master Doctor. Xiaoyao heard this and pouted her lips and said, You were so cold and arrogant just now, and now you are like this again. It's really shameful. Lian Xiao had an embarrassed smile on her face. I am ignorant and have never seen such a novel way of treatment. Please be magnanimous and don't bother with me, a servant. Miss Lin looked at Dr. Liu standing in the distance, and then set her eyes on Shang Ruai and said softly, Did the young master save me? Shang Ruai walked forward and put her hand on her pulse. Just this one action made Miss Lin's face slightly red. Miss Lin, may I talk to you for a moment? Several people came to a compartment, and Shang Ruai looked at her with a low voice. Although you are awake now, your heart disease has not been completely cured. If you continue like this, your body may not be able to hold out for a year. Shang Ruai originally thought that Miss Lin would be shocked and scared, but she was not. The expression on her face was extremely calm, as if she knew the ending from the beginning. "Thank you very much, young master." Miss Lin smiled. "I know my body well. My father and mother have been worried about my body since I was a child. I don't know how many famous doctors I have invited, but they are all useless. I know that I don't have much time left. Thank you for saving me today." Shang Ruoi heard this and smiled. "Miss Lin, this is not what I want to say." "What do you mean, young master?" Shang Ruoi took out a porcelain bottle and handed it to her. "There are 2 pills in it, one a day. After 2 days, if you feel that it is very effective, you can come to the Li family to find me." "Li family?" Lian Xiao's face became even paler when he heard this. Since the Li family had the purple Dongzhu, its influence among the various families in the capital has risen. "I didn't expect that she was actually a member of the Li family. I have offended everyone today." "Young master, what you mean is, it can be cured," Shang Ruoi said firmly. "I can cure the girl's heart disease."
What? Can it be cured?
Lin Xiaoxiao was stunned in place, with a look of disbelief in her phoenix eyes, and she couldn't help muttering, "Is what you said true?" Lin Xiaoxiao hesitated for a moment and whispered, "My father and mother asked famous doctors to treat me, but they couldn't cure me. I had to take medicine every day to keep myself awake." Today, she asked her father to go out to see the purple pearl. In addition, after the coldest time, her health improved slightly, so Master Lin agreed to let her go out. "Your heart disease is something you brought from your mother's. It's not only a disease but also a poison. Get rid of all of it, and your body will naturally get better." "So that's how it is," Lin Xiaoxiao nodded. At this moment, a middle-aged woman ran in a panic. "Xiaoxiao, I heard that you fainted." "Mother." The woman's eyes fell on Shang Ruoi, then looked at Dr. Liu outside the door, then looked at Shang Ruoi again, and asked in confusion, "Xiaoxiao, who is this?" "Mother, this is the miracle doctor, who saved me this time. If it weren't for her, my daughter would probably be in danger today." Upon hearing this, the woman hurriedly bowed. "Thank you, miracle doctor, for saving me. Our Lin family is very grateful." Shang Ruoi smiled and shook her head. "It's just a piece of cake." Lin Xiaoxiao looked at her, bit her lower lip lightly, thought for a while and said, "May I know your name, benefactor?" "Ling Jun." "Ling Jun?" Dr. Liu, who was standing outside the door, took a breath of cold air upon hearing this. "She is the miraculous Dr. Ling Jun who has been rumored to be so miraculous recently? How is this possible?" At this moment, a servant in the crowd turned around and left. He went to the room upstairs and narrated what had just happened. Nan Charan's eyes lit up. "Are you saying this in public?" "Really?" The servant said. "I saw it with my own eyes. The girl from the Lin family was almost dying, but she was brought back to life with just a few needles. It is said that her name is Ling Jun. Miraculous Dr. Ling Jun? She said it herself. She is the miraculous Dr. Ling Jun?" The servant was startled by Nan Charan's excited attitude. He hurriedly said, "It's true." Nan Charan turned to Jun Zigan and said, "Agon, didn't you come here for Ling Jun Divine Doctor?"
Yes.
Jun Zigan whispered, "Find a chance to see her. Leave it to me." Nan Charan smiled and said, "I will drag her here, even if I have to." Jun Zigan glanced at him and said nothing. The whereabouts of Ling Jun Divine Doctor were extremely secretive. If he only had medical skills, he would definitely not be able to find even a trace of him. Madame Lin thanked Shang Ruai profusely. After hearing that she could cure Lin Xiaoxiao's heart disease, she almost knelt on the ground. "Godly doctor, if you can really cure my daughter's heart disease, no matter how much money, our Lin family will offer it with both hands. Miss Lin's body only needs one more acupuncture, and then take pills to regulate it. Within half a year, she will be cured." Shang Ruai took out a porcelain bottle. "There are 5 pills in it." Mrs. Lin took it with both hands and held the porcelain bottle carefully in her hands. "Only these 5 pills can cure it?" "Of course not." Shang Ruai smiled. "Take 1 pill a day for half a year, and you will definitely get better." "How much is this pill?"
$30 per pill.
The people standing at the door heard this and took a breath of cold air. "This pill is so expensive." You know, 30 taels is enough for ordinary people to eat for a year, or even 2 years. But Mrs. Lin didn't care at all when she heard this. After all, for the Lin family, taking it for half a year is only more than 5,000 taels. Compared with her daughter's life, what is a mere 5,000 taels? Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. She thought for a moment and said, after I finish taking these 5 pills, where should I go to find you? Shang Ruai glanced at shopkeeper Xiao calmly. Shopkeeper Xiao was naturally a smart man and hurried forward. Mrs. Lin, if you need pills in the future, just come to me. Shang Ruai smiled. That's right. Lin Xiaoxiao looked at the interaction between Shang Ruai and shopkeeper Xiao, and her originally bright eyes dimmed slightly. She was not in a good mood until she left. After the Lin family left, the people guarding the door looked at Shang Ruai with a hint of excitement in their eyes. Divine doctor. This is a living divine doctor. Dr. Liu looked at her with an awkward smile on his face. I didn't know you were the genius, Dr. Lingjun. I was blind and didn't recognize you. Please don't blame me, genius doctor. The smile on Shang Ruai's face gradually faded, and she whispered, No, you're too polite. Am I not the mediocre doctor you mentioned? How can I be worthy of the title of genius doctor? Dr. Liu blushed, and the onlookers laughed. Didn't Dr. Liu just swear that he was the only person in the world who could cure the girl from the Lin family? What a joke. I saw that when Madame Lin left just now, she didn't even look at him. That's right, if I were Madame Lin, I would definitely ask him for an explanation. He has treated the girl wrong for so many years, and almost killed the girl. Didn't you hear? The girl from the Lin family is the 8th prince's consort appointed by the emperor. If this matter gets to the ears of the royal family, Dr. Liu's life will be in danger. Everyone was talking, and Dr. Liu's face turned from red to black, and finally he fled. At this moment, a woman in the crowd said, Divine doctor, you just said that Miss Lin's medicine can be bought from shopkeeper Xiao. If we need any pills, can we buy them here? Before she could answer, shopkeeper Xiao walked forward and said with a smile, Of course. Shang Ruai curled the corners of her lips slightly. I will tell you which pills are available in a few days. Then you can come here to have a look. After everyone left, shopkeeper Xiao changed his attitude and poured her tea diligently. Mr. Lingjun, I was blind just now. You won't hold it against a woman like me, will you? Shopkeeper Xiao wants to cooperate again? Of course. A gleam of light flashed in shopkeeper Xiao's eyes. Who would have a problem with money? With the name of divine Dr. Lingjun, how can the pills not be sold? Not to mention the pills that could cure heart disease just now, even the ones she picked up casually would be sold out. I wonder how to distribute this money? To be honest, we will take 20% of each item, but your pills are consigned to us, so we will only take 10%. Shang Ruai nodded. This is fair. With this auction house, she doesn't have to worry about the sale of pills. Just provide them regularly. Shang Ruai handed her the porcelain bottle. It contains nourishing pills that can prolong life. Each pill is 20 taels. Ordinary people can take 1 pill every 5 days. The weak can take 1 pill every day. After 3 months, 1 pill every 3 days. After half a year, they will be no different from normal people. For subsequent maintenance, 1 pill every 5 days is enough. If someone else said that it could prolong life, perhaps no one would believe it. However, after seeing the changes in Miss Lin's body just now, shopkeeper Xiao believed her words without a doubt. After leaving the auction house, Shang Ruai walked around the street for a few times and came to a dim sum shop. The proprietress of this shop has excellent cooking skills. On weekdays, the rooms in the shop are full, and there are endless customers coming and going. Today, a room happened to be vacant, and Shang Ruai ordered a few plates of dim sum and went upstairs. Sir, aren't these dim sum a bit too much? Even the 3 of them couldn't finish them. We can finish them. Shang Ruai smiled mysteriously. If we can't finish them, don't we have others? Others? Xiaoyao was shocked when she heard this. She looked around and said in a trembling voice, Sir, could it be that there are still ghosts and gods to worship? Shang Ruai smiled helplessly and nodded her head. What's in your little head?
Sir.
Xiaoyao rubbed her forehead and muttered. If there are no ghosts, could there be people? Shang Ruai sat by the window. watching the hustle and bustle of the street, and suddenly felt that the years were peaceful. She picked up a piece of cake and put it in her mouth. She was used to eating cakes made from milk, and occasionally eating other flavors also felt very delicious. I heard that the boss lady here makes delicious flour cakes. It's really extraordinary after tasting it today. She smiled and said, I wonder if the young master outside the door is interested in trying it? After Shang Ruai finished speaking, Ah Cheng reacted. Just as he was about to push the door to take a look, he saw the door was pushed open and a figure walked in swaggeringly. I didn't expect that you would find me, Nan Charan said with a smile. Your martial arts are not bad to be able to find the whereabouts of this young master, although it is still a little worse than mine. You are too flattering. It's just some mediocre kung fu. Shang Ruai's words made Nan Charan choke. He was about to step forward when a scabbard was across him. You are following me in broad daylight. What is your intention? Nan Charan smiled and pushed the scabbard with water. Of course, I am not trying to do anything bad, otherwise it would not be in broad daylight, but on a dark and windy night. Shang Ruai waved her hand. Ah Cheng, let young master Nan come over. Nan Charan blinked. Do you know me? Could it be that he was so suave that young master Lingjun even knew him? Of course I know him. He offended the adopted daughter of the king of the city thoroughly at the auction. Now, when it comes to Master Nan, who wouldn't praise his courage? She picked up a cake and handed it to him. Master Nan, would you like to have a piece of flour cake? Nan Charan waved his hand. Such sweet and greasy things are the favorite food of women. How could a grown man like to eat such feminine things? Oh, really? Shang Ruai took a bite. I thought Master Nan liked to eat it. After all, if he can do such a sneaky thing to follow others, what else can he do? You are such a poisonous person. However, he actually felt that this person was inexplicably to his taste. Tell me, what do you want to see me about? Master Lingjun, I want to ask you to heal someone. As long as he can be cured, no matter what the request is, even if it means going through fire and water and risking my life, I will do it. Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows slightly, and a hint of playfulness appeared in her eyes under the mask. Who dares to embarrass the adopted daughter of the king of the city in public and leaves her helpless must be no ordinary person. Who could be the person that he is willing to sacrifice his life to save? Mr. Nan, are you serious? Although I am a concubine's daughter, I am not and I should keep my word. He took out a jade pendant and handed it to her. The Nan family in the western regions is not a prosperous family, but when it comes to silver, there are only a handful of people who can compare with the Nan family. This jade pendant is my mother's dowry. As long as there is a shop with the Nan family's logo, whether it is cloth or gold and silver jewelry, as long as you like, you can take it away. Shang Ruai took the jade pendant and smiled and said, Since Mr. Nan is so sincere, I am afraid that I would be a little ungrateful if I refuse. In this case, I will go with you. Really? Shang Ruai handed him the flour cake in her hand. If Mr. Nan eats this cake, I will go with you to take a look. Hearing this, Nan Charan took the cake and swallowed it in a few seconds. It was just as unpalatable as imagined. Several people came to a house. Mr. Nan, Mr. Lingjun, my master has been waiting for a long time. The guards led them to the main hall. Jun Ziqian sat in the main seat and watched them come in.
He was slightly surprised.
He didn't expect Nan Charan to bring her here in such a short time. Akian, Nan Charan said with a smile. I invited Mr. Lingjun. Ah Cheng was shocked when she saw Jun Ziqian sitting in the main seat. It was the prince of the city king. He lowered his head to cover the look in his eyes and whispered in Shang Ruai's ear, Miss, it's the prince of the city king of the western regions. Prince of the city king? The person Nan Charan wanted to treat with all his wealth was actually the prince of the city king. Since he had such a good relationship with the prince of the city king, why did he make things difficult for the adopted daughter? Could it be that the prince and the adopted daughter didn't have a good relationship? She curled her lips slightly. It seemed that this prince had a good vision. For this reason, this person was worth her treatment. Divine Doctor, my friend's leg is seriously injured. I wonder if you can treat it? Shang Ruai walked forward and looked at Jun Ziqian. For a moment, she felt that the man in front of her was a little familiar. Young master, have we met somewhere before? As soon as Shang Ruai finished speaking, she heard Nan Charan chuckle. Divine Doctor, are you gay? As soon as he finished speaking, two pairs of eyes suddenly shot towards him, and in an instant, Nan Charan felt like he was falling into an ice cellar. I was just kidding. Nan Charan smiled dryly. Really. The two retracted their gazes, and Nan Charan couldn't help but turn around and wipe the sweat from his head. Swallowing, are these two people brothers who have been separated for many years? Even the murderous gaze is exactly the same. After the examination, Shang Ruai frowned slightly. All the meridians in your legs are blocked, and the qi is flowing backwards, which is the result of being possessed by the devil. She said lightly, What kind of extraordinary skills did you practice, young master? You want to learn it even at the risk of crippling your legs? Jun Ziqian looked at her in surprise when he heard it. He didn't expect that she could see the reason why her legs became like this at a glance. It seems that the name of this miracle doctor is not groundless. Maybe she can really heal her legs. Nan Charan stepped forward. Miss Doctor, can you tell me if this leg can be cured? Shang Ruai frowned slightly. She didn't like others interrupting her when she was treating a patient. She turned her head and looked at him coldly. If you say anything more, I will your legs too. Tsk. Nan Charan curled his lips and thought to himself, This miracle doctor is young, but he has a bad temper. Young miracle doctor. Jun Zigan whispered. Can my leg be saved? Shang Ruai nodded. Although your leg meridians are blocked, it will be cured in a short time. She rolled her eyes and smiled at the corners of her lips. However, the consultation fee is not cheap. Hearing this, Nan Charan hurriedly said, Hey, miracle doctor, haven't I already given you the consultation fee? Shang Ruai glanced at him. Your consultation fee is just for me to see the doctor. Where is the money for the treatment?
What?
Nan Charan's eyes widened and he shouted at the top of his voice, Whose medical fee needs to be paid in 2 installments? Shang Ruai raised her eyebrows and smiled when she heard this. Since Mr. Nan thinks the price I want is too high, so be it. I don't like to force people. After all, your friend's leg is not very serious. At most it will be amputated, and he will not lose his life, right? She stood up and dusted off the non-existent dust on her body. I'll go back first. After she finished speaking, she threw the jade pendant in her sleeve to Nan Charan. Goodbye. Nan Charan was shocked when he saw this. He knew that she had a bad temper, but he didn't expect it to be so bad. No. Miracle doctor. I was wrong. Just as he was about to grab her sleeve, Ah Cheng's scabbard was against his throat. How dare you? Nan Charan smiled and said, Brother, let's talk it over nicely. Don't brandish swords all the time. What if your hands shake and you get hurt accidentally? Ah Cheng's eyes were sharp, and the scabbard was still against his throat without moving. Shang Ruai smiled and said, Ah Cheng, put away your sword. If a fight really breaks out, you're no match for young Master Nan. Jun Zigan raised his eyebrows when he heard this. It seemed that this man's ability was far beyond his expectations. Nan Charan stepped forward with a servile look. The doctor's choice of guard is really good. He is loyal to his master and has commendable courage. He handed the jade pendant in his hand again. It was just a joke. Why did you take it seriously? He smiled and said, I said before, no matter how much silver, no matter what the price is, I will accept it. Shang Ruai heard it and took the jade pendant. In this case, Mr. Nan, don't regret it. How can a man go back on his word? Jun Zigan retracted his gaze and shook his head. He knew, with Nan Charan's brain, how could he invite this famous doctor and spend half of the Nan family's wealth? But in the end, he only got a stepping stone. You know, the Nan family is not an ordinary merchant family. The Nan family's influence is spread throughout the western regions, and the relationship between them and the major families is complicated. Although Nan Charan is not a legitimate son, the most core power of the Nan family is in his hands. Shang Ruai shook the jade pendant and said with a smile, Mr. Nan is really generous to his friends. Nan Charan smiled bitterly. How could he not be generous? In the early years, I was so foolish. If it weren't for Aegon, I would have fallen into the snake cave long ago. Now the grass on my grave is more than 1 meter tall. June Zegan whispered. Divine Doctor, how long will it take for my leg to recover? 10 days at the fastest, half a year at the slowest. Why is there such a big difference? Nan Charon interrupted. We want it faster, and you can pay more money. Shang Rui frowned, and the silver needle in her hand suddenly shot out and pierced his mute point. Before Nan Charon could react, the silver needle had already landed on his body. He was about to argue with Shang Rui when he found that he could not make any sound. He stared at her in shock, gesturing with his hands. Shang Rui said with a smile, If you keep talking nonsense, I will really make you mute. Nan Charon looked at the smile on her lips, shuddered inexplicably, turned around and sat back in his chair, and really stopped talking. Seeing this, June Zegan couldn't help but smile and said, I wonder if the genius doctor could teach me the technique of silver needles? As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Nan Charon suddenly looking at him with disbelief in his eyes. Someone is really too noisy. This may be a good idea. Nan Charon almost burst into tears when he heard this. My loyalty was ultimately wasted. Shang Rui smiled and said upon seeing this, Young master has profound inner strength. I'm sure he will understand it immediately. Nan Charon turned his head away, not wanting to see it. Sir, if you want to treat your leg, you need to expose your calf. The people of Bailing are open-minded and don't care about these details, but Tian Shan doesn't allow that. The western regions are somewhere in between. Hearing her say this, Nan Charon couldn't help but feel a little confused. They were all grown men, so what was there to mind? June Zegan's heart moved slightly when he heard this, and there was a hint of inquiry in his eyes as he looked at her. Shang Rui coughed, then said with a smile, Young master, why are you looking at me? Why don't you roll up your trouser legs? Ah Cheng's face twitched slightly. If the crown prince knew about this, the crown princess would be fine, but he would probably lose his head. Shang Rui took out a bunch of silver needles and inserted them into the acupuncture points on his legs, and also inserted a few on his hands and head. Nan Charon was terrified when he saw this. With so many needles, I look like a hedgehog, which is really scary. The internal force in Shang Rui's palm surged, and the silver needles that pierced June Zegan's body began to tremble, making a buzzing sound. June Zegan's brows were furrowed, his face was pale, and it looked like countless bugs were gnawing at his body. Young master, I have sealed the internal energy in your body with silver needles. It is best not to use the internal energy during the treatment. Please be patient. June Zegan slowly closed his eyes and tried to calm himself down. At this moment, a bulge suddenly appeared on his left leg, and it kept wriggling like a worm, shuttling back and forth on his leg. If Nan Charon hadn't pressed the mute point, he might not have made any sound. After all, his mouth was now big enough to fit an apple. June Zegan's face became paler and paler, and he felt severe pain in his left leg, making him wish he could just chop his leg off. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes as if he suddenly thought of something and looked at his left leg in disbelief. I had been unconscious for the past few days, as if I no longer existed, but today I could actually feel the pain. My leg. His voice was a little hoarse, and he looked at Shang Rui in shock. I can feel my left leg. Shang Rui nodded. Sir, your leg meridians are severely blocked, and you need to use this method to force them through. Otherwise, over the years, your leg will be completely useless. Although this method is fast, it is extremely painful. What's the pain? As long as he could still stand, he would not hesitate, even if it meant standing on the tip of a knife or cutting the skin on his legs. The treatment lasted for a long time, and by the time she took away the silver needle, June Zegan's clothes were soaked. He looked at his left leg and seemed to have regained some feeling, which was the most important thing for him. Thank you, doctor. His voice was a little weak, his face was pale, he moved his fingers slightly, and the guard beside him handed him a wooden box. This is a gift from my young master. I hope you will accept it. Shang Rui took the box, opened it, and her eyes lit up. It's actually written by the medical saint. Young master is really thoughtful. Previously, He Lingxing used this medical book as bait to let himself treat the Queen Mother, but he ended up using a fake medical book to deceive her. I guess he hasn't settled the score with him yet. Now, this medical book finally fell into her hands after many twists and turns. Tomorrow morning, I will come to this courtyard to treat you. Shang Ruai calculated the time and found that she could still stay in Bailing for a few days. If you don't mind, Miracle Doctor, you can stay here. There are still many empty rooms in my house. For some reason, Jun Zigan wanted to keep her. Nan Charan was stunned when he heard him say that. He had never heard that Jun Zigan kept anyone in his house. Even himself had been with him for more than 10 years and had been through life and death with him before they had reached this point today. Before Shang Ruai could say anything, a guard said, "Sir, Miss Luo Yun is here."
Luo Yun?
His cheap sister? Shang Ruai didn't say anything and heard Jun Zigan say coldly, "No." It seems that Luo Yun really doesn't deserve the love of her brother Jun Zigan. But the young lady has been crying at the door for a long time, and I really have no other way. The guard said with some embarrassment. Passers-by kept looking towards the mansion. Nan Charan curled his lips. This woman would only use this trick. At this moment, he felt a pain on his neck, and he shouted loudly, "Who is it? How dare you plot against me?" As soon as the voice came out, he was stunned. Could he speak? Just then, his eyes fell on a bead on the ground, and his eyes widened. This is Dongzhu. How much wealth does this Master Lingjun have that he actually uses the Dongzhu to help others unblock their acupuncture points? He opened his mouth dryly. That. Let her cry at the door. As long as she doesn't cry to death, ignore her. Jun Zigan said impatiently. What are you still doing here? As soon as he finished speaking, he heard the guard at the door shouting, Miss, you can't go in. How dare you block this princess's way? Are you looking for death? Luo Yin shouted in a delicate voice. I'll go find my brother. If you dare to block me again, I'll chop off your head when I return to my father. Let her in. Jun Zigan said coldly. Shang Ruai bowed and said, Since you have family affairs to take care of, I will take my leave first. After she finished speaking, she was ready to turn around and leave. Just then, the door was pushed open and Luo Yun, wearing a fox fur robe and carrying a hint of coolness, walked in quickly. Her eyes fell on Shang Ruai. She couldn't help but stop and said in a cold voice, It's you? Shang Ruai didn't want to say more and prepared to leave. After all, there was nothing to say to someone who was so arrogant, but whose brain couldn't keep up. Luo Yin moved slightly and stood in front of her. He raised his chin and said, Why, you don't even say hello to this princess when you see her? Hearing this, Jun Zigan said in a low voice, Jun Luoyin, where have you learned all the rules? Have you been eaten by a dog? The person Jun Luoyin feared the most was her brother. Since she came to the Prince Cheng's mansion, her father loved her in every way. As long as she wanted, her father would try his best to satisfy her. Everyone knew that her father doted on her. Even the princes and princesses in the palace were humble in front of her. After all, her father's power was so great that even the royal family was very wary of her. However, although they were wary, they did not dare to attack. After all, the western regions still relied on her father for support. But when facing her brother, she was afraid from the bottom of her heart. From the day she entered the palace, no matter how she tried to please her brother, she never smiled at her, let alone asked about her well-being. But this is the first time I have been scolded like this. Her body couldn't stop shaking, and her eyes were red. Junzei said coldly, Put away this look. I told you on the day you entered the palace that you can enjoy the wealth and splendor in the palace, but if you covet other things, don't blame me for being rude. Brother. Nan Charan felt relieved when he saw this. Aegon, she is your sister after all. A picked-up sister is still a sister. What's more, she was picked up by your father. Not to mention a living person, even a dog is different from the outside, isn't it? Jun Luoyin heard it and said angrily, You. Who do you say is a dog? Shang Ruai couldn't help laughing when she heard it. Jun Luoyin looked at Shang Ruai angrily. You lowly person, how dare you laugh at this princess? Jun Luoyan, it seems that when you return to the palace, you must ask the nanny to teach you the rules. Brother. Jun Luoyan said tearfully, I know my brother doesn't like me. Although I was adopted by my father, I am also a member of the city prince's mansion. When I go out, I represent the face of the city prince's mansion. She pointed at Shang Ruai and Nan Charan. These two people, one is a and the other is a commoner. How dare they ride on my head? They can ignore me, but how can they ignore the city prince's mansion, my father and brother? What a silver tongue. Shang Ruai smiled. So, what if you are a princess? So, what if you are a prince? So, what if you are the city prince's mansion? I am not a commoner from your western regions. No matter how powerful your father is, what does it have to do with me? How dare you? How dare you disrespect my father? Isn't it? Shang Ruai smiled. You are not of the blood of the city prince's mansion, but an adopted daughter of the prince. Now you rely on your status as a princess to act arrogantly. To put it nicely, you are maintaining the status and authority of the city prince's mansion. In fact, you are just relying on the power of the palace to bully others at will. Don't make yourself sound so noble. No one is a fool and will let you deceive them. She walked to her side and said in a low voice, You are just relying on this face to replace someone else's identity and live a life that does not belong to you. You can't be sure that one day, when the Real owner comes back, everything you have now will turn into a bubble and disappear. As soon as she finished speaking, the blood color on Jun Luoyan's face faded visibly. You. Jun Luoyan couldn't help but tremble all over when she said what he was really afraid of in his heart. Nan Charan had never seen her like this before and couldn't help but be very curious about what she said in Jun Luoyan's ear. Jun Zigan looked at his nominal sister with a cold look in his eyes. Jun Luoyan, go back to the western regions. When I return, I will definitely report to my father and ask him to take good care of your problem. Jun Luoyan's face turned pale, and she ran out of the house crying. TSK. Aegon, aren't you being too harsh? She is your father's adopted daughter after all. After Nan Charan finished speaking, his eyes fell on Shang Ruai. He smiled and said, Divine Doctor, I forgot to tell you just now that my friend is the prince of the king of Western Region City. Shang Ruai nodded. Her expression did not change, and she did not show the slightest flattery because of his identity. She had guessed Jun Zigan's identity from the beginning. Prince, please have a good rest. I will leave first. Shang Ruai bowed, turned around and left with Ah Chung and Xiaoyao. Nan Charan looked at her receding figure, shook his head and said, The temperament of this miracle doctor is really hard to figure out, sometimes sunny and sometimes gloomy. Aegon, do you think we should send someone to keep an eye on her? Just by looking at her nose and mouth other than the mask, it is not difficult to guess that she must be a very handsome young man. I really don't know what she would look like without the mask. Aegon, do you think her face will be disfigured? Jun Zigan glanced at him and said lightly, It seems that the miracle doctor is coming tomorrow. I'd better talk to her and let her poison you and make you mute directly. Nan Charan immediately covered his mouth, stared at him with wide eyes, and said incoherently, Jun Zigan, I treat you as a brother who can go through life and death with me, and I spent so much effort to invite the miracle doctor to treat you, but you actually want to poison me and make me mute. Jun Zigan waved his hand, and the guards behind him pushed him back, leaving Nan Charan alone there sulking. She narrowed her eyes slightly. The poison powder she had used before had a smell, which she soon detected. Last night, she developed a new poison powder that was colorless and odorless, so it would not be easy to detect the poisoning. After 2 days, the poison would gradually seep into the lungs, and by then, it would be too late to save her even if she wanted to. I originally thought of sending this poison to my master first, and then finding a few lowly people to test it. But now I'll use it on her first to see the effect. The white powder drifted away with the breeze, colorless and odorless, floating towards Shang Ruai and the others. Jun Luoyan thought that no one noticed what she did, but in fact Shang Ruai and Ah Cheng had already noticed her actions. Young master, it's okay. They're just some mild poisons. It's just a trifle. Jun Luoyan thought his plan had worked. Looking at Shang Ruai's receding figure, he said complacently, 2 days. We will come to collect her body in 2 days. The princess is very good at poison. How can those people be her opponents? The maid flattered, I will send someone to follow them. When the poison takes effect, we will know where they are buried. This princess keeps you by her side because of your brain. If you don't disappoint this princess, I will do as you say. After she finished speaking, she took out 20 taels of silver from her sleeve pocket and threw it to her. This is a reward for you. Thank you, princess. Jun Luoyun smiled and said, as long as you can work well for this princess, you can get as much reward as you want. This maid will follow the princess's lead. She lowered her head to hide the disdain in her eyes. She was really stingy. She only gave 20 taels of silver. What was 20 taels of silver? She had heard that servants serving in other mansions would often receive rewards of 50 or 100 taels of silver if their masters were generous. The master she followed had never been short of money, but she was always stingy with her servants. She had only saved a little money for herself after following her for so many years. Shang Ruai felt that someone was following them secretly, so she whipped the horse a few times, and then went around a few intersections and shook off the tail behind her. They walked around and came to the back door of the Li family's house. Li Yin hurried forward. Mississippi Shu, Shang Ruai, and others flashed into the Li family's house. Did you see how I'm dressed? Call me young master when you see me in the future. Li Yin was quick-witted and smiled and said, yes, young master. Where's your grandfather? The old man said that when you come back, go directly to the study to find him. When Shang Ruai came to the study, they heard a fierce quarrel coming from inside. When the people in the room saw him come in, they had different expressions on their faces. The old man's face was still full of anger. When he saw her come in, he sat back in the armchair and gasped. The Li father and son were very shocked. Who are you? Li Quan rolled his eyes, and in an instant, a flattering smile appeared on his face. Are you the miraculous Dr. Lingjun? Shang Ruai glanced at him. I didn't expect you to be so well informed. I wonder why the genius Dr. Lingjun came here? Li Quan felt that she looked familiar, but he did not recognize her true identity. I am here to treat the old man as heart disease. Her eyes fell on the old man. The old man of the Li family naturally knew the meaning of her eyes. She did not want to reveal her true identity. Li Quan had heard about the genius Dr. Lingjun treating the daughter of the Lin family at the auction house today. The daughter of the Lin family also suffered from heart disease. It was not strange for her to come to treat the old man now. After all, the Li family is no longer the same as before. So, what about Master Lingjun? Doesn't he also rely on money to live? Li Quan stepped forward and said with a smile, Dr. Lingjun, my grandfather has suffered from heart disease for many years. If you can cure my grandfather, our Li family will definitely give him a generous gift. As soon as he finished speaking, he thought that what he said would make Dr. Lingjun look at him with new eyes. If he could become friends with the doctor, it would be beneficial to him. Maybe his grandfather would hand over the Li family to him again for the sake of Master Lingjun. In the past few days, without the identity of the young master of the Li family, he has been stabbed in the back by many people in this capital. Moreover, the debt collectors have been blocking him everywhere. If he doesn't pay it back, his arms and legs will really be chopped off. Shang Ruai didn't say anything, with a little teasing in her eyes. Generous gift? I wonder what kind of generous gift? Li Quan heard this and was delighted, thinking, what kind of doctor? Isn't it because he is blinded by gold and silver treasures? As long as the miracle doctor tells us, our Li family will be prepared. Evil creature. Old Master Li coughed a few times in anger. You and your father have been expelled from the Li family. Now it is not your turn as an outsider to say what happens to the Li family. Grandfather, I am your only grandson. No matter how angry you are, you can't expel me. If you do that, who will take care of you in your old age and see you to the end of your life? He looked like a rogue, which almost made the old master so angry that his heart disease relapsed. However, The fact that the former head and the young master of the Li family were expelled from the Li family has spread throughout the streets and alleys, and it has become known to everyone. Now you two are no longer members of the Li family, but you regard yourselves as the masters of the Li family. Isn't it a bit shameless? Shang Ruai sneered and said, "If I were you two, I would have found it in the ground to crawl into it by now." Shang Ruai's words made the father and son of the Li family change their faces. Li Quan said in a deep voice, "Dr. Lingjun, I respect you, so I call you a doctor. Just come and see the patients. What are you, an outsider, saying about our Li family's affairs?" "That's right. I am the only son of the Li family, and Quan is the only young master of the Li family." Li Wenshan turned his eyes to the old man of the Li family. "If Dad insists on driving us out, I will find the elders of the clan. We want to see whether the elders of the Li family will listen to you or me." The reason why he said this was because he had specially looked for the elders of the Li family in the past few days. The Li family was huge, but they were the most promising. The other branches were not poor, but they were definitely not as prosperous as them, so he used all his silver to make arrangements. The elders of the clan promised that as long as they were there, the old man would never think of driving the father and son out of the Li family. Hearing him say this, the old man couldn't help but look livid. Upon hearing this, Shang Ruai sneered and said, "I didn't expect that this kind of dregs would still be passed down until now. What does the happenings in your mansion have to do with those old guys who are about to die? How dare you be so rude?" Li Quan said angrily, "That's the ancestor of our Li family. Haha, you don't even respect your own grandfather, but go to someone else's house to recognize your ancestors." Shang Ruai walked past the Li father and son, with a sneer on the corners of her lips. "Since you like being a grandson so much, just change your name to grandson."
You.
Li Wenshan has been the head of the family for so many years. Where has anyone ever said this to him? His face turned livid and he said, "Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that?" "Yes. Who exactly do you think you are?" "Dad, she, an outsider, insulted your son and grandson in front of you, which means she doesn't take you seriously at all. It is obvious that she has a low character. You must not listen to her instigation." The master picked up the walking stick and waved it at Li Wenshan and his son. "You evil creature. Who do you say has a low character? Who instigated you? Who else in this world has a worse character than you?" Seeing that he was serious, Li Wenshan and his son hurried out.
Kick them out.
After Li Wenshan and his son left, the old man sighed and sat on the armchair. "Good boy. Thank you for everything today, grandfather." Shang Ruai said in a low voice, "I guess the elders of the clan have been bribed by them. Do you have any plans?" As soon as the voice fell, Li Xia's figure appeared at the door. She walked forward slowly. "Sister Shang, I discussed with grandfather and want to hand over the Li family to you."
What?
Shang Ruai frowned. Hand over the Li family to herself? "Sister Shang, although I am the legitimate daughter of the Li family, I have never been involved in the Li family's business. If it weren't for Sister Shang, my grandfather and I would be in great danger. If my grandfather had not been rescued, all the power of the Li family would have fallen into the hands of my father, who would certainly have made concubine Jean the legitimate wife, and Li Quan would have really become the young master of the Li family. They would have wanted to marry me into the Zhang family's den of tigers and wolves as soon as possible because they saw that I was so annoying. If it weren't for Sister Shang's advice, I wouldn't know how much trouble I would have suffered from Zhang He. We are willing to let my sister take care of the Li family." Shang Ruai heard this and shook her head slowly. "I will not take over the Li family. Although my mother is the lost daughter of the Li family, so many years have passed. My mother has died, and my maternal grandparents have been destroyed. Many things have been nowhere to be verified. The old man wants to recognize me as his granddaughter. I am naturally happy, but I don't want to interfere in the family. Besides, I will set off to Tianshan soon, and my time in Bailing is limited after all." She actually knew very well that the reason why the old man handed the Li family to her, in addition to what she just said, was He Jingheng's identity. Although the Dingwa Palace was exiled, its reputation could still deter other countries. If people knew that the current head of the Li family was the prince's consort of the Dingwang prince, no matter who wanted to target the Li family, they would weigh their own weight. The old man guessed that she would refuse, but he didn't expect her to refuse so straightforwardly. Child, the ancestors of the Li family have taught that no matter if they are male or female, as long as they can raise a purple oriental pearl, they can inherit the position of the head of the family. He took out the purple oriental pearl that he had always treasured. Look. Shang Ruoyi's eyes fell on the purple Dongju, knowing that what he said was true, but she still didn't want to take over the Li family. Grandfather, although I am the blood of the Li family, my surname is Shang, not Li. If you really want to find someone to inherit the position of the head of the family, Xia Xia is more suitable than me. Li Xia Xia held the handkerchief in her hand, and her eyes fell on her grandfather involuntarily. The old man thought about it and said nothing. The light in Li Xia Xia's eyes gradually dimmed, and the strength of holding the handkerchief was also much lighter. Li Wenshan and his son, who were kicked out of the door, looked at the closed door and pulled their robes together. Li Wenshan said with a gloomy look, "Just wait and see. Within 10 days, the Li family will be back in my hands." Dad, can the elders in the clan really help us regain the Li family? Li Quan was a little lacking in confidence. After all, he was and those old guys in the clan valued the legitimate and illegitimate children very much. Of course, they have accepted my benefits, so they must get things done. You don't have to worry about these things. Your father has his own plans. Li Wenshan said in a deep voice, "When I return to the Li family, I will definitely make that old thing look bad." At night, Shang Ruoyi returned to the room and flashed into the space. She came to the pool and casually picked up a pearl oyster. When she opened the oyster, she couldn't help but be amazed. This pearl was as big as a thumb. The bright purple color made people fascinated. This pearl was many times better than the one at the auction. And there were so many pearl oysters like this in the pool. For 2 consecutive days, Shang Ruoyi came to Jun Ziqian's house as promised to help him with acupuncture. Nan Charan finally learned his lesson. This time, he didn't interrupt during the treatment, but just watched quietly. Shang Ruoyi looked at him with a little surprise and said with a smile, "I clearly unblocked the mute point of Master Nan before. Could it be that the prince pressed the acupoints again today?" Hearing this, Nan Charan turned his head away and rolled his eyes silently. He was not acupunctured, but he didn't want to be hit by her again. It was too embarrassing. But her speed was so fast that he had no place to hide even if he wanted to. Jun Ziqian smiled. "I think he learned his lesson before." Nan Charan curled his lips. These 2 people obviously didn't know each other, but their personalities were like brothers. They really had similar tastes and were too similar. The acupuncture today was much stronger than the previous few days, and the pain of dredging the meridians was not as strong as before. Shang Ruoyi wrote a prescription and handed it to the guard beside Jun Ziqian. "Starting tomorrow, boil water with this herb and soak your legs in the medicine. It is normal to feel pain and itching. Do this for 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening." "Thank you, doctor." The guard took the prescription with a smile on his face. Nan Charan sneered. "I don't know who said that, but my son's illness is not something that anyone can treat." The guard's face flashed an unnatural red, and he stammered to explain. "I didn't know you were a miracle doctor before, so I was offended by your words." "Please don't blame me." "No problem." Shang Ruoyi looked at Jun Ziqian. "I also want to thank you, my son. I have read that medical book for a few days and benefited a lot." "No need to thank me, I just got it by chance. I don't know medical theory. No matter how precious the book is, it is no different from an ordinary book to me. If it can help the miracle doctor, it will be a blessing for this book." Nan Charan looked at Jun Ziqian in shock. Is this man still the Agon he knew? He has known him for so many years. Where has he ever seen Jun Ziqian speak so gently to anyone? He has never been like this to his father or the emperor.
Could it be?
His eyes fell on Shang Ruoyi. Could it be that he has some thoughts about this miracle Dr. Lingjun? As soon as Shang Ruoyi left the house, she found someone following her. The key point was that the person following her was too clumsy. Even Xiaoyao noticed something was wrong. "Sir, the man behind us has been following us all the time." "It doesn't matter. Just let him follow us. She didn't ride a horse today and walked on the street in a cloak. At this time, in a house. What? Jun Luoyun was stunned when he heard the report from the servant. Are you sure you didn't see it wrong? My princess, it's true. The man and his guards and maids showed no signs of poisoning at all, and the three of them were shopping. At this time, another servant who was sent to follow them ran back. My princess. Jun Luoyun thought they were poisoned and said excitedly, What happened? Did the three of them die of poisoning? No, my princess. The three went to Wanshishai.
What?
Jun Luoyun frowned. How is it possible? How could my poison have no effect on them? It's impossible. My princess, when I was following the three people, I heard a piece of news, and I don't know whether I should say it or not. You idiot. What do you have to hide in front of the princess? Chunhua urged. Why don't you say it quickly? I heard someone call that man Lingjun the divine doctor, so I went to inquire about it. It is said that his medical skills are extremely superb. As soon as the guard finished speaking, Jun Luoyun's face suddenly darkened. His murderous eyes fell on him. His voice was like poison. You mean her medical skills are very high, so she cured the poison of this princess? No, that's not what I meant. He hurriedly knelt down and kowtowed. I just heard about it. That's definitely not what I meant. The princess's poison skills are unparalleled in the world. How could she cure it? Is Jun Luoyun so easy to fool? Her eyes narrowed slightly. But this princess thinks that's what you mean. She waved her hand, and several guards stepped forward. Take him away to this princess and lock him up.
Yes.
She took out a packet of medicine powder and handed it to Chunhua beside her. Sprinkle this medicine powder on him. It just so happens that this princess needs a few medicine men. The guard's face changed suddenly when he heard this. The fate of being a medicine man for the princess would be worse than being beaten to death. He had personally dealt with several medicine men, and his body was covered with festering. He was really in a state of being unable to live or die. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed continuously. Princess, I know I was wrong. Please have mercy on me. Princess, please have mercy on me.
Please,
His mouth was blocked, and he was taken away. Seeing this, everyone in the mansion lowered their heads. Being able to be the medicine man for this princess is a blessing you have cultivated in your previous life. She said in a cold voice, Prepare the car. This princess is going to Wanshishai. She wanted to see what the so-called Lingjun divine doctor was capable of. Shang Ruai walked around Wanshishai, which was a huge gambling stone shop. In her previous life, she had some research on gambling stones. Although she was not proficient, she had also entered the door. Occasionally, when she came across a raw stone with excellent appearance, she would buy it to play. It is said that 9 out of 10 gamblings will lose, but she was lucky and basically bet on the increase. When she came to Wanshishai today, she felt a little itchy. Please come in, sir. The waiter saw that she was dressed extraordinary and greeted her enthusiastically. Sir, are you here to gamble on stones? You, young man, are you here to have a meal instead of gambling on jadeite in Wanshishai? Sir, you don't know that in addition to gambling on jadeite, we can also recycle the jadeite you dig out. The waiter smiled and said, From your accent, you should not be a local. Let me take you around. Shang Ruai nodded. Thank you very much. She took out some silver coins and handed them to him. The waiter took the silver and smiled even more. Sir, please come in. Seeing this, Xiaoyao whispered, Miss, this gambling shop is a place that cheats people. Let's go. Silly Xiaoyao, today your young master will let you see what a gambling expert is. She patted Xiaoyao's little face and walked forward, looking like a cynical young man. Xiaoyao had no choice but to follow her. At this moment, a burst of exclamations came from the innermost part of Wanshishai.
Oh.
It's up. It's up. It's green. It's green. A huge increase. A huge increase. Shang Ruai walked towards the source of the sound. She saw a group of people gathered around a shelf with a huge rough stone on it. A facet had been cut into the rough stone, revealing the lush green jadeite. Although it has increased, it can't be considered a huge increase. I spent 7,000 taels to buy this rough stone. But this rough stone is so big. If it was full of jadeite, it could be sold for at least 30,000 taels. Isn't this considered a huge increase? The one who bought the rough stone was Zhang Ruru's brother. At this moment, he raised his chin, looking at the rough stone with pride, secretly rejoicing in his heart. Fortunately, he bought this rough stone. 7,000 taels became 30,000 taels, making a fortune. Congratulations, Mr. Zhang. It's really a huge increase. Mr. Zhang's luck is really unique. We are really envious. Ha 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 ha, Zhang Qian laughed and said, "This young master's luck is naturally not comparable to that of ordinary people like you." He squinted his eyes and said to the people around him with disdain, "This young master has very good luck today. You who are unlucky should stay away from me." The crowd who were watching couldn't help but curl their lips when they heard this. Why did the young master of the Zhang family have such an arrogant temper? But for the sake of this jadeite, everyone still stayed there and didn't leave. After all, it has been a long time since Wanshihai opened such a jadeite with such a big increase in value. Young Master Zhang, are you selling this jadeite? If you sell it, I'm willing to pay 15,000 taels. 15,000 taels? Zhang Qian frowned. Didn't you just say 30,000 taels? Why is it only 15,000 taels now? Hee hee, young Master Zhang, you don't know, your jadeite raw stone does look big, but it doesn't have any quality. If the stone is full of jadeite, it can be worth 30,000 taels, but now you have only cut such a surface. We don't know what it looks like inside, how much jadeite there is, so naturally we can't give you so much silver. What he said was quite true, and the onlookers nodded frequently. How could Zhang Qian be willing to hear that? He said loudly, "My raw stone is full of jadeite. If you don't believe me, I'll open it and show you." He said to the stone-cutting master next to him. Cut. The master turned the stone-cutting roller, and the huge knife fell down. Zhang Ruai looked at the stone-cutting machine and nodded. The design of this stone-cutting machine was very exquisite. Although it was not as fast as the modern electric stone-cutting machine, the speed was not much different. At this time, everyone in Wanshihai was attracted by the sound of stone cutting, and they all wanted to see how amazing the jadeite in this raw stone was. Zhang Ruai looked at the place where he cut, raised her eyebrows, and whispered, "With this knife, his stone will be worthless." The sound of the stone-cutting machine was very loud, and others did not hear her words clearly, but Xiaoyao beside her heard it clearly and asked, "How do you know it will be worthless?" "Just watch. You will understand in a while." After a while, the speed of the stone-cutting machine slowed down, and the harsh sound slowly disappeared. "Today, I will let you see how good my luck is." As soon as he finished speaking, he heard the onlookers looking at the white stone and took a breath of cold air. How can this be jade? This is simply a stone. And it is an extremely ugly stone. Zhang Qianshi could not help but stand there in a daze. How could this be possible? Where is his jade? Where did the jade go? How could it be a stone? He stepped forward quickly, grabbed the master who was responsible for stone cutting, and said angrily, "Where is my jade? Where is the jade? Did you replace my raw stone?" Upon hearing this, the stone-cutting master hurriedly said, "My lord, even if I have supernatural powers, I can't replace your jade." No one would doubt his words. After all, with so many eyes watching, how could he switch things? Zhang Qian's chest rose and fell violently. He turned around abruptly and looked at the man who had offered 15,000 taels earlier. 15,000 taels. I'll sell it to you. The man couldn't help laughing when he heard that. "Mr. Zhang, you only have so much jade. Let alone 15,000 taels. Even if it's 150 taels, I'll have to think about it." Everyone couldn't help laughing when they heard him say that. It serves him right. He deserves it. Who made him so arrogant? If Zhang Qian hadn't been so arrogant just now, maybe some people would sympathize with him if he cut it this time. Now people just feel very relieved. Xiaoyao looked at her young lady and her eyes widened. "Mister, it's amazing. How did you know that?" Zhang Ruai pointed to her eyes. "I saw it." Peony. Actually, Zhang Ruai was not talking nonsense. She did see it, but her eyes were different from others. She had seen clearly what was inside the jade. This jadeite rough stone was indeed very interesting. There were actually 3 pieces of jade in this rough stone. The smallest and worst one among them was the one that Zhang Qian opened. The place where Zhang Qian asked someone to cut it was just to cut off that piece of jade, and the other 2 pieces were on the other side. If the stone cutter had moved a few points to the side, he could have cut the second piece. But fate played tricks on people. Maybe it was just as the man said just now, he was too rampant. Even God didn't give him the chance to make a fortune. Zhang Qian looked at the cut rough stone with red eyes, gritted his teeth unwillingly, and said, "Cut it again. This young master doesn't believe that you can't cut anything out of such a big stone." At this time, the young master who came with him whispered to persuade, "Young Master Zhang, I think you should just forget it. If you can't cut anything, wouldn't it be even more embarrassing? That's right, it's only 7,000 taels. If you lose the bet, you lose it. You can win it back in the future. Why do you act like you can't afford to lose?" Zhang Qian gritted his teeth when he heard this. They said it easily. It was 7,000 taels. If his father knew about it, he would definitely break his legs. He turned to the man who wanted to buy his rough stone and said, 7,000 taels. I'll sell the cut one, and the one at the back. The man sneered when he heard this. "Mr. Zhang, I won't buy this broken stone of yours for 700 taels, let alone 7,000 taels." The crowd watching also sneered. At this moment, a voice came out, 700 taels, I want it. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound. They saw a masked young man holding a folding fan in his hand, wearing a black fox cloak, followed by 2 followers. He was obviously a young man from a wealthy family. Shang Ruoyi walked forward, pointed at the stone on the ground that was split in 2, smiled and said, 700 taels, are you selling it? Her attitude was extremely casual, as if she was just asking casually. Seeing this, the onlookers hurriedly said, "Oh, young master, you look so young. This is your first time to gamble on stones." Shang Ruoyi nodded. "That's right. It seems so. Since this is your first time to gamble on stones, go to the outside to have a look for less money. This stone is not worth buying." "That's right. Although a piece of the stone has been opened, it is only this small, and the water quality is poor. I'm afraid it can't even be sold for 100 taels of silver. You are obviously an amateur, so don't be fooled. How can this broken stone be worth 700 taels of silver?" Everyone said something, trying to persuade her not to buy it. Hearing this, Shang Ruoyi looked at Zhang Qian inscrutable and nodded. "It turns out that it's not even worth 100 taels of silver. Fortunately, you told me. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have suffered a great loss." Zhang Qian was still hesitant and didn't want to sell it for 700 taels of silver. But when he heard everyone say so, his face became darker and darker. "What nonsense are you talking about?" He waved everyone away and came to Shang Ruoyi. "You just said you were willing to buy my stone for 700 taels, right?" Shang Ruoyi said with some embarrassment. "I just said it casually. Do you understand the rules?" Zhang Qian said with his hands on his waist. "How can I regret it after I said I would buy it? But your jade is not worth even 100 taels of silver, and you still want to sell it to me for 700 taels. I have a lot of silver, but I am not a fool." Shang Ruoyi said disdainfully. "I'll give you 100 taels. You can sell it if you want." "No. 700 taels, not a penny less." Zhang Qian said angrily. "The amount of silver is what you said. The gambling stone business has always been like this. How can you not buy it if you say you don't want to buy it?" At this time, the waiter who followed Shang Ruoyi said, "Sir, you don't know that when buying a raw stone, if the seller offers a price and the buyer is willing to sell it, then he must pay the silver. Alas, this young master is really unlucky today. I'm afraid that the 700 taels of silver will be wasted." "Yes. But who asked her to bid rashly? What a coincidence that Mr. Zhang is willing to do this losing business."
Ha ha ha.
Tsk. This young master is afraid that he doesn't have the luck to gamble on stones. Gambling on stones is extremely dependent on luck. If you don't have luck, you will lose everything even if you are rich. If you are a person with great luck, even the waste of paving can be opened into top-grade jade. Shang Ruoyi sighed. "Forget it. I admit defeat." I will pay 700 taels of silver. She pointed to the large piece of raw stone thrown aside. But you have to give me this cut waist too. Zhang Qian looked at the large white stone and waved his hand and said, Here, here, here. Shang Rui's eyes flashed with success. Chung handed the 700 taels of silver note to Zhang Qian. In this way, the raw stone was completely hers. At this moment, a burst of laughter came from the crowd. Oh, the famous Master Lingjun actually spent 700 taels to buy such a thing. Jun Luoyun walked forward surrounded by a group of maids, his eyes full of sarcasm. Aren't you very eloquent? Why is your mouth not working now? Shang Rui heard this and smiled. What does it matter? It's just 700 taels of silver. Since the rules are like this, I will abide by them. Jun Luoyun rolled her eyes at her. You are stupid, just admit it. At this moment, Chung walked forward and moved the stone over. Everyone watched him pick up such a heavy stone without blushing or panting. At first glance, he was a martial artist. People who were still laughing at her for spending money to buy a piece of junk could not help but shut up. They were afraid that if they really angered her, they would be beaten by her guards. Chung put the stone in his hand down, and the stone fell heavily to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. A gust of wind came from nowhere, and the dust blew straight towards Jun Luoyun.
Pooh, pooh, pooh.
Ahem. Lowly people, are you crazy? How dare you throw stones here? Jun Luoyun said angrily. Come here. Drag him down to this princess. This princess will definitely punish him for disrespect. Shang Rui looked at her dusty appearance and couldn't help laughing. Jun Luoyun's face became even uglier, pointing at Shang Rui and them. Arrest them all. Shang Rui said coldly. I say, Princess Luoyun, you are just the adopted daughter of the king's mansion in Shiyu City. This is Bailing, not your Shiyu. If you want to act like a monarch, go back to your Shiyu. Jun Luoyun was so angry that she jumped up and down, wishing she could mute her mouth with poison. The thought that her poison had no effect on her made her even more crazy. At this time, the waiter beside Shang Rui said with a smile, Sir, the raw stone you bought is still a big piece. Do you need us to cut it? Shang Rui heard it and said indifferently, Cut it. Just cut it in the middle. Okay. He waved his hand, and several young and strong men came forward and put the raw stone that Chung had just moved on the stone-cutting rack. Seeing this, people couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. It took so many people to move the stone, and they looked very tired. The guard just now relied on himself, which shows how strong his arm strength is. Sir, then we will cut it. Shang Rui nodded. Seeing this, people all shook their heads. Oh. Is there any need to cut the stone? That's right, it's just a piece of waste. I don't even care about it if I take it back to pave the road. This young master has been badly cheated. It costs 1 or 2 taels of silver to cut it, and this stone is not even worth 1 or 2 taels of silver. Everyone looked at Shang Rui with a little sympathy, and there were also some who gloated over her misfortune. Zhang Qian and his colleagues originally wanted to leave, but since Jun Luoyun came to Wanshihai, his mind fell on her. She is the princess of the royal palace in Shiyu City. If he can marry her, his life will be very successful. Thinking of this, he raised his feet and walked towards Jun Luoyun. Jun Luoyun looked at Shang Rui suffering a loss and couldn't help feeling very happy. This princess would like to take a good look at what amazing things can be cut out of this broken stone of yours. Shang Rui turned a deaf ear to her words and just focused on looking at the stone on the shelf. If she was not mistaken, these 2 pieces of jade should be very good. Seeing her like this, Jun Luoyun felt like he had punched cotton, and a hint of anger appeared in his eyes. At this time, Zhang Qian walked to Jun Luoyun and bowed. I am Zhang Qian, and I meet Princess Luoyun. Jun Luoyun glanced at him and frowned slightly. Zhang Qian? This princess has never heard of you. I heard my sister mention the princess. Your sister? My sister is Zhang Ruru. Zhang Ruru? That idiot? Jun Luoyun rolled his eyes at him and snorted coldly. You two are indeed brother and sister. Zhang Qian didn't understand what Jun Luoyun meant for a moment and thought she was praising him. He couldn't help but raise a smile that he thought was very handsome on his face. He didn't know that this smile made him even more stupid. Thank you for the compliment, princess. Praise? When did he praise him?
Yun Luyun snorted disdainfully.
It seems that he is even more stupid than that stupid woman Zhang Ruru. At this moment, the huge stone suddenly split into two halves and a puff of smoke dissipated. Everyone's eyes fell on the stone. The stone cutter scooped a bucket of water and poured it on the stone. He was stunned for a moment. This is actually... He looked at the cut jade in front of him and murmured, Imperial green. Imperial green. What? Everyone's eyes fell on the stone, and they all took a breath. A emerald green cut surface appeared in front of them. Under the thin skin was all green jade. For a long time, there was silence in Wanshihai, and everyone's eyes were on the jade. At this time, someone exclaimed, Big increase. Big increase. Oh my God. Am I dreaming? I can see such a huge increase in my lifetime. Imperial green. How long has it been since Wanshihai produced Imperial green? Zhang Qian was completely stunned at this time. His eyes fell on the jade, and he couldn't move away for a moment. Jun Luoyun also looked at it in shock. Imperial green? She naturally knew what Imperial green jade meant. A few years ago, the Emperor of the Western regions presented a set of Imperial green jadeite headpieces to the Queen on her birthday. She had seen it with her own eyes. It was extremely exquisite, and she loved it very much. She sent people to look for it for a long time but failed, and finally had to give up. Now that the lowly people actually opened the Imperial green jadeite, how could she accept it? At this time, Zhang Ruo